Stand up, New York Giant fans. Little trade for the New York Giants. New York Giants go out there, make a trade. I was going to go live today anyway, recap the game with you guys. Going to be doing that for all the regular season games. And so the trade went down. So obviously that's going to be the focal point of today's conversation. We're going to talk about who the New York Giants acquired. We're going to talk about who they gave up. We'll also recap, obviously, some of the events that took place yesterday in the preseason game. We got to see Daniel Jones, the first-team offense, the first-team defense. Some good, some bad. Obviously, we're all very concerned with the play of Andrew Thomas. The offensive line, we knew that was going to be a concern going in. And I think a lot of us kind of were banking on the fact that we thought Andrew Thomas was going to be a guy we could depend on. Well, a little bit of a wake-up call yesterday, and hopefully that's just a hiccup, and we'll see as the regular season gets underway. We definitely are going to be put to the test with Von Miller and Bradley Chubb. But today, big trade went down for the New York Giants. We all know, as I just said, the biggest weakness on this football team is the offensive line, specifically our depth, starting lineup and depth. Just our offensive line in general. But we all knew that the New York Giants were going to have to make a move in terms of trying to upgrade the depth on this offensive line. That is, in fact, what they did. They went out there, they made a trade for B.J. Hill, for Billy Price. And we'll talk more about it throughout the video. I know a lot of you guys probably love B.J. Hill. Obviously had a really good rookie season with the New York Giants. Really hasn't gotten on the field since. And I'm going to get into a lot more details. I have a lot of quotes that I want to pull up about Billy Price, get to learn a little bit more about the player. There's a reason he was traded, just like there was a reason B.J. Hill was traded. There's a reason the New York Giants went out there. They traded for Leonard Williams. There's a reason the New York Giants went out there. They drafted Dexter Lawrence. They didn't feel that B.J. Hill was more than likely going to be a part of the future of this football team. They probably saw some of the guys on the back end of the roster that they wanted to give a roster spot, so he was expendable, wanted to pick up an upgrade in terms of the depth on this offensive line. The Cincinnati Bengals had a very good center. In addition to that, they drafted an interior offensive lineman in this year's draft, I think in the 6th round, saw that Billy Price was not going to be a part of the future of their football team, and now he gets to go to another team, and maybe he gets an opportunity with the New York Giants. I think the idea for this trade for the Giants, at least right now, I don't expect Price to start. I think Price is going to be depth for the New York Giants, but it's something they needed. He's capable of playing both guard positions. He's played the center in college, started at the center in the NFL. He has 19 career starts, and I'd be lying to you. Up to this point, the 21st pick overall, it's been a bust. You expected more out of him. I remember during the 2018 draft, I actually was thinking of him, this is before I was on YouTube, as a possibility for the New York Giants to draft in the 2nd round. Cincinnati took him in the back end of the 1st round, but clearly a guy with some potential out of Ohio State. We'll get more into the details about Price, talk more about the trade throughout this video, and I'm going to get to a couple of these super chats. But thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate it. Let me say hello to a couple of people. James in the chat, Alex in the chat, Royal in the chat, Dre in the chat, Liam in the chat. Amazing guy. Thank you to everybody for being here. Thank you to everybody for being here. Thank you guys for all the support you guys always show on the channel. Ryan says, trade Ingram for a coffee maker. Well, you're not going to get much for Evan Ingram right now. He had an injury yesterday, he had a calf injury, and it sounds like he may miss opening day. They said it could be at least 2 weeks. Hopefully that won't be the case, but not the ideal circumstance right now going into the year. Looks like Evan Ingram may be sidelined for week number 1, but we're going to have to wait and see. Hunter, man, thank you very much. Thomas couldn't block me on Twitter. Listen, Thomas, I'm a guy that supports Thomas. Obviously, I like the pick. It was preseason, so I'm not going to go bananas, but not good. I'm trying to think positive, but I'll be the first to say I'm worried. I'm not going to say like I'm over the top worried, like I think the world's ending, but I'm not as sure about him going into the year as I thought I was. I'll say that based off the way he played yesterday. I get like me trying to think optimistically. I'm saying to myself, maybe new technique with Rob Sale. He's trying to work on it from within the game. Maybe come regular season, he's going to look a lot better at the position, but certainly concerning after that performance yesterday. There's no denying it, and everybody in this chat has every right to be questionable about this New York Giants offensive line going into the first game of the season. There's no denying it, and as good as the offense may look with all these pieces, if we can't block, it's not going to matter. So they better get their act together if we're going to do anything this year. Christian, man, thank you very much. Everyone crying for offensive line actually make a move for the offensive line. Everyone starts ragging on the move. Can't stand the fantasy. Christian, I'm with you, man. I like the move. I know some people are going to be crying about it. Listen, B.J. Hill was not going to play on this football team. B.J. Hill was the fifth string defensive lineman, wasn't going to play the nose tackle. We gave Austin Johnson $3 million, an upgrade at the position. We brought in Shelton, who's going to be the main nose tackle. He was back on the depth chart. B.J. Hill was This, to me, was a trade with a team with a plethora of defensive linemen. They had the ability to go out and trade one. They like some of the other guys on the back end of the roster. Maybe Raymond Johnson makes the team. We'll talk more about that throughout the stream. But the Giants had depth there, and Cincinnati had a depth at the interior offensive line position. The Giants needed it, and apparently Cincinnati, from what I've read, needed a lot of help on their defensive line. So I think it's a trade where both players may get an expanded role, may actually get an opportunity at some point this year to play, and it could be a win-win for both the New York Giants and the Cincinnati Bengals. But there's no denying it. We needed to make that trade. I think both teams probably viewed these players as guys that if they just drop, we're going to immediately get claimed somewhere else. So they figured, why not make a trade and swap destinations? That's my line of thinking with this trade. Obviously, Price was not going to be a part of the future of the Cincinnati Bengals franchise. They had the ability to extend him on the fifth-year option, being that he was a first-round pick. Didn't do it before the year started. And the New York Giants and B.J. Hill, look at our cap space next year. There was no chance that B.J. Hill was coming back with the New York Giants. So that's the way I look at it. Both teams viewed these players as guys that weren't going to be back on their current teams or previous teams now before they made this trade. Mark, man, thank you very much, man. 15 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 25 fumbles, and a pink slip for Daniel Jones. But if he has 25 fumbles, Mark, is that your projections for this year? 25 fumbles? If Daniel Jones has 25 fumbles this year, I'll hand him the pink slip myself, man. And hopefully you're wrong about that, Mark, because if that happens, that's going to be an absolute disaster, and this season will be an absolute joke. But hopefully you're wrong about that. And FG, man, thank you very much, man. Free me, I got banned. In the Discord? I'll try my best to free you, FG. I'll try my best. I'll look in the Discord when I can, man. But thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. What's going on there, Nicholas, man? Thanks for popping in. JD, he says, I think Gettleman saw the member stream. Yeah, that's right. I did. By the way, any of my members, I don't know if you guys checked the community notes, so I'll just let you guys know now if you guys are members, starting this year, just for an hour before every game on Sunday, I'm going to go live with you guys, just talk about the game from like 11 to 12 before I do the live stream on my channel. So hopefully some of you guys come by for that. I had a lot of fun with about 20, 25 of you guys after the game last night. But JD, man, thank you very much. Do you think Gettleman saw the member stream and Gettleman shit in his pants? Public thanks to you for the member stream. Price starts week 1. I'm going to say no. I don't think they're bringing Price in here to start week 1, JD. I really don't. I don't think he's going to be a starter week 1. I think he's a guy that could step in and play the center, could play the guard. Now, if Shane Lemieux's not ready, he may be starting. This is me assuming that Shane Lemieux is going to be ready to go week 1. But if Shane Lemieux's not ready, he very well may be starting. Now, you're talking about a guy that has no familiarity with anybody else on this line, though it could be Jonathan Harrison. But I think it's a guy for depth. I think that's the main reason here. You can put him at the center. You can put him at the guard if you have some injuries. Of course, Gates could move around as well. Say, the tackles are playing horrible. Maybe you want to put Gates at the tackle. I don't want to do that. I want to keep Gates at the center, but it gives you more options on the offensive line. And obviously, he's a guy that maybe the New York Giants feel that if he's coached up properly, they could get something out of him. First-round pick out of Ohio State. And the one thing I'll say about the Giants, man, and I say it on Twitter all the time, the Giants, since Joe Judge has become the head coach for this football team, whether it be this offseason, whether it be the previous offseason, they are super proactive. You think about all the trades this team has made over the last 2 years from within season, right before the season started, some of the late signings they've made. The New York Giants have tried their best to put the best product on the football field. Obviously, we're still very concerned about this offensive line, though, going into the year. Mark, man, thank you very much. There's an organizational drafting problem with guys above the GM. 2 straight GMs can't draft properly. I say clean house, man, if this season doesn't work. Mark, I'm a guy. Well, I don't know how long you've been with my channel, Mark, but I'm a guy about continuity. I don't like breaking things up unless I feel like it absolutely needs to be broken up and you need to start from scratch. And, Mark, I'll be the first to say it, and I'm going to give him the season. I'm not going to panic and go crazy over preseason performance. But if the team fails this year and they're a joke and they win 5 or 6 games, which I'm assuming could only be your expectation, I'd blow it up. I personally don't want to fire Judge, but I'd blow it up, man. I'd start from scratch. I think you have to at that point. I mean, this would be now year 3 of the rebuild, and it wouldn't be going anywhere fast. We need to see some progression, especially with some of the, some of the aggression we've shown in free agency this year. So I'm with you on that, man. If they don't have at least a 8 or 9 win football team at a bare minimum, I definitely strongly consider blowing it up. And a deal, man. Thank you very much. Daniel Jones played well considering he didn't have his weapons to take pressure off the offensive line. Also, should have drafted worse. I mean, right now, of course, it looks like we should have drafted worse, especially after the way that Andrew Thomas looked. I think overall, obviously, we could point to that decision, and some people have different opinions on that, the interception by Daniel Jones. When I watched it in live time, I thought it was an atrocious decision to throw that football. A lot of people pointed to the fact that they felt that Evan Ingram should have sat down in the zone. My personal opinion on that, Dan Jones he can't, I don't care what the excuses are there. And I think overall Daniel Jones had a very good game outside of that one play, which is bad. And I do think Daniel Jones could have a very good year for this football team. I'm going to continue to say that, but you can't make a mistake like that. It's inexcusable for a quarterback on the 1 yard line. You can't give up points there. You have to cash in. So I don't care what the excuses are in terms of Evan Ingram not sitting down in the zone. Daniel Jones can't make that throw. He can't turn that football over. He threw it against his body. Was not a good decision there. But outside of that, I thought he did a really good job last night. But a deal, man. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it, buddy. But I hope everybody's having a great day. Aiden, man, member stream was elite last night. I appreciate it, man. Going to be doing a lot more of those before the games on Sunday. Glad that you enjoyed it, man. And Vasily, and you're the man, Aiden. Thank you for popping in. Vasily says, what's up, Chris? First dono on YouTube goes to you. Can't wait for the season. With you, my man. Let's go, Knicks and Giants and Knicks. I saw the RJ Barrett picture, so it made me say Knicks first. Looking forward to calling a lot of Knicks games this year as well. Going to have JD Sports Talk hopefully soon. I hope we get to do a show from within season about the Knicks once a week as well. Let's go kick the Eagles and Cowboys' ass. I'm with you on that, my man. And thank you so much, man. Vasily, man, thank you very much. I think we're going to sweep the Eagles this year. I keep saying I'm looking forward to going to the Eagles game. I may be going to the Falcons game. Haven't decided yet, but I'm leaning that I will be. So, keep your eye out for that. Jason, man, thank you very much. Love the trade. Billy Price should start at center. Very good run blocker. That could move Gates to the left guard. Gates, Price, Hernandez. Looks good to me. And Kaden Smith will start next year at tight end. Let's talk about Kaden Smith, and then I'm going to get into some of the details of this trade. Kaden Smith, man, maybe it was a blessing, and not that I'm hoping that Ingram's out all year, because I do think Evan Ingram is a mismatch nightmare. He's got a hold on the football. But Kaden Smith has always had really good chemistry with Daniel Jones. You remember in his rookie year, the last 4 or 5 games, and then last night. I mean, what? The throw was incredible, but a great catch by Kaden Smith as well. I like Kaden Smith. I'm glad that he's going to make this football team, and he very well may be, one of the tight ends of the future of this team. I don't think we're re-signing Evan Ingram. And I obviously don't think Kyle Rudolph's a long-term answer for this football team, being that he's 32, 33 years old. So Kaden Smith could very well get a more expanded role after this season with the New York Giants at the tight end position. But, yeah, he looked good last night, and I do think him and Daniel Jones do have very good chemistry. And, Darren, man, thank you very much. Offense built, relies on Saquon, lots of yak upside. Yeah, for everybody that's saying – I'm not judging the offense based off last night. I'm just not going to do it. I know that everybody talks about the route concepts, and I get it. And I know that Garrett may not be the most innovative guy, may not be the most innovative offensive coordinator in the league. I'm going to reserve judgment until I actually get to see all the pieces on this offense and see how they operate from within the system. I think they brought Kenny Gallaudet in because they felt like he really fit Jason Garrett's scheme. We'll see how they utilize Kadarius Toney. And obviously Saquon Barkley being out of the lineup has a lot to do, at least in my opinion, of why the offense at times looks stagnant and there's not a lot of big plays. So I'm going to wait till I get to see all the weapons in the offense at once, and then give it 3 or 4 weeks, and then I'll judge how Jason Garrett and Daniel Jones are doing with the New York Giants. But, that's what I got to say about that. But in terms of some of the things I wanted to pull up for you guys regarding this trade, we'll start with the PFF grade just because that's simple for an offensive lineman. Let me just get rid of this real quick. You're not going to see, great statistics from a former first-round offensive lineman that Cincinnati was looking to get rid of. Last year, he had a 50.7 PFF grade, took 208 snaps, had 4 penalties, 1 sack allowed. Not very good out, throughout his entire career, since he's been in the league for 3 years, hasn't been the most productive offensive lineman. That's why he was traded. Now, these were some articles that I got off the Cincinnati Bengals website, recent articles, talking about the way that he's performed in training camp and in preseason this year. Against the Washington football team, Price finished with a solid 76.4 pass blocker grade. According to PFF, he was part of the starting offensive line that held the opposing D-line starters, all first-round picks, to 0 pressures. That's a big deal considering the talent on the Washington defensive line. This was about 5 or 6 days ago. Price's preseason performances validated the positive showings in training camp. At the very least, he is serviceable, which is significant progress from where he was under previous O-line coach Jim Turner. Price looks to beat out Trey Hill for the backup center job, but he's been playing so well that there's a chance he could remain a starter even after Trey Hopkins returns from injury by being moved to guard. And obviously that won't be the case now. This was 5 or 6 days ago. Since then, the Cincinnati Bengals have traded him. This then as well from the Bengals website. Trey Hopkins took over the Bengals starting center in 2019 and Price was moved to guard. Although he played in all 16 games, he started just 8. 7 at the right guard, 1 at the left guard. At times, Price looked at least serviceable. At other times, he was just playing bad. This as well. Price made only one start in 2020, a victory against the Tennessee Titans, but seemed to make some strides in the right direction. PFF credited Price with 208 snaps played on offense, mostly at guard, and only 1 sack allowed. He was also flagged on 4 penalties. Without a doubt, 2021 is a make-or-break year for Price. He has been reunited with offensive line coach, obviously not anymore, Frank Pollock, who was instrumental in drafting Price in the first place. And now it is up to Price to prove the decision was not a mistake, and that he is something more than a bust. So those are some things that I want to pull up for you guys. A couple more things as well. This coming out from Brandon Thorne. This, from what I do, he has about 60,000. The reason I found him was, I think it was Dan Duggan retweeted it, or one of the Giants beat writers retweeted it. He's an offensive line expert. I guess he does a lot of film work on offensive linemen. He's got about 60,000 followers on Twitter. This is what he had to say about Price going to the New York Giants. Reasonable deal for both sides, especially with Price's recent trajectory heading up. People speak on guys every year as good or bad when it's far from nuanced. Every year, players labeled good or bad become shift the opposite direction. Development is rarely linear. Situation matters. Then this as well from Jordan Renan. The big winner of the B.J. Hill Billy Price trade, undrafted rookie defensive lineman Raymond Johnson from Georgia Southern, guy that a lot of people are rooting for to make this team. Had a strong camp, wanted to find a way for him to get on the 53-man roster prediction. This would have done it. And then finally, this is the beat writer from ESPN for the Cincinnati Bengals, Ben Baby, I guess his name is. The Billy Price trade is a win-win for the Bengals and Price. It frees up a roster spot and gives Price a fresh start, which should be great for him and his chances to show he can be a starting caliber center. So those are just some of the things that I wanted to pull up regarding the trade. Maybe give some of you guys a little bit more of an outlook on Billy Price. Obviously, you're going to hear a lot of that he was a bust, former first-round pick, so on and so forth. But from what it sounds like, he was having a good preseason, having a good camp. Other things that I read about Billy Price was that they didn't feel like he was going to get an opportunity to play. They had a young offensive lineman that they were trying to give more of an expanded role that they drafted in this year's draft. They knew they weren't bringing him back next year. And it's going to cost $2.1 million against the cap for the Giants this year. Both players will be free agents at the end of the year. B.J. Hill on his in his 4th year, the same for Price. So both will be free agents at the end of this season. John, man, thank you very much. Stand up. What do the Mets and Giants fans have in common? Both teams stink, fly, Eagles fly, but you're the man, my friend. Can't wait to meet it. Yeah, I can't wait, man. John, thank you so much, man, for all the support you always show on the channel, and I can't wait to kick the Eagles' ass. George, man, thank you very much. Giants starting this season 5-0. George, I'm drinking coffee. You're drinking vodka, but I love you, George. I love you. So the Giants starting this season 5-0. Denver, Washington, Atlanta, New Orleans, Dallas. Week 6 versus the Rams will be tough. All right, George, let me talk about the first 5 games real quick. Hold on one second. What's going on, Authentic Man? What's going on, Nona? First 5 games. Okay. I think Denver, Washington, I think I'm going split there. I think we'll start 1-1. I think we're going to beat Atlanta. And then I'm hoping for a split on the road between New Orleans and Dallas. I'm looking at either a 2-3 or 3-2 start. I do think we end strong. The last 4 games, I could see us winning at least 3 this year. For me, the key is before the bye to have at least 5 wins. I think we play 10 games, or I don't remember. I think from what I saw, I think we can win at least 5 games after the bye. So I think we need 4 or 5 wins before the bye. That's the key for me this year if we want to have a shot to make the playoffs. And some of the winnable games before the bye, and I'm not saying any of the games are not winnable, but some of the most winnable games before the bye include the Carolina Panthers at home, the Atlanta Falcons at home, the Denver Broncos at home, and the Raiders at home. Those are some of the more winnable games before the bye. Of course, you've got Washington on the road. You've got Dallas on the road. You got them later in the season at home, which you would think would be, easier for the New York Giants to potentially obtain a win. But I definitely think we could win at least 4 or 5 games before the bye and then at least 5 games after the bye. That's the way I'm looking at it. I have us for 9 wins this year. I got us at 9-8, but we'll see how the season unfolds. George, I hope you're right and I'm wrong, though, and I hope they win 1,000,000 games this year. But 5-0, I think you need to lay off the vodka just a little bit, George. Just a little bit. But I appreciate you for popping in the stream, my man. Natalie says G-Men wins 7 games. Don't get past the offensive line woes. Tackle Thomas will be decent. Too many holes. And listen, I'm not going to say you're crazy for thinking that. I'm not going to say anybody's crazy for thinking that. I think 6 or 7 wins is probably my floor for this team. I think Joe Judge is a good coach. I think he'll have them well prepared. I think the defense will definitely win us some games. I think 6 or 7 is worst case scenario, at least in my opinion, unless they have insane injuries. But I'd be lying to you, Natalie, if I told you that I would be shocked if they won 7 games this year. I have them for 9, but I understand people that have that perspective. Bill, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yet another season of shuffling low-talent offensive linemen to cover Dave's complete mismanagement of the position group for 4 offseasons in a row. When is enough with this clown? I mean, it's this year, Bill, for me. And I've tried to be as fair as I can with Dave Gettleman, but it's this year for me. The offensive line, again, as I keep saying in all these streams when I do them, doesn't need to be a finished product. It needs to be an improved one. Needs to be going towards league average by the end of this year for me. And we need to start winning football games. But if that's not the case, it's time to make a move, man. I mean, it's been 4 years. He's had an opportunity to improve this offensive line, and hopefully he was right. Hopefully these young guys get the job done. The way I analyze this trade, Bill, we weren't bringing B.J. Hill back anyway. They needed help on the D-line. We needed help in terms of the depth on the offensive line. I don't really see a reason to really complain about this trade. I don't think Hill was going to play anyway, but I don't really see Price as a guy that's going to step in the starting lineup unless we have an injury or some guys are really underperforming. Is it possible maybe week 1 if Lemieux is still hurt? Maybe you do put him in at the guard, even though he doesn't have any familiarity with the other linemen on this line. So I would guess probably still no in that case. But yeah, I don't hate this trade at all. I like the trade. We needed offensive line depth, and they probably like a guy like Raymond Johnson to make this team. They know they're not bringing B.J. Hill back. He wasn't going to get much playing time anyway. So I like the trade. I think it was a good trade. Adam, man, thank you very much. It was preseason, but it's just more of the same, Tana. The O-line is bad, and DJ just does dumb things. It's the same exact thing every damn year, and I understand where you're coming from. The offensive line yesterday, to me, is what the offensive line to me is what was the most discouraging thing yesterday, because the other stuff you could chalk up to preseason. You could chalk up to they're not showing the whole playbook, this, that, the other thing. The offensive line, you can't chalk that up to. They're in the trenches. Andrew Thomas was getting destroyed off the edge. My only, I guess, hopeful thinking is that he's working on things with the new scheme. Obviously, he's being taught new technique with the new offensive line coach that came in, and hopefully he gets his act together by week 1, because we're going to need it going up against the pass rushers we're going up against. But I'd be lying to you if I wasn't discouraged from the performance last night by Andrew Thomas. And everybody that says all these weapons are going to make everything look like rainbows and butterflies, I've said it the entire offseason. If you can't block, these weapons don't mean a damn thing. All you got to do is look back at the New York Giants team in 2018. The first 8 games, we couldn't block to save our lives. We had Odell Beckham and we had Saquon Barkley when he was riding sky high in his rookie year. The first 8 games, we couldn't move the ball. Offensive line started to get it going in the second half, and we looked like a much better football team. If you can't block, you could have, I don't care if you got Tyreek Hill, I don't care if you got Travis Kelce. Ask Patrick Mahomes how that offense played. The offensive line has to be much better than what it looked like last night. So I'm with you on that, my man. But thank you for popping in, Adam, man. I appreciate it, buddy. And Simon, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. In my opinion, coaches will clean Thomas's errors. He has talent. He definitely has talent. The question is, can he improve? You know, there's several players that have entered the NFL that have had talent. Billy Price is one of them, former first-round pick, and he didn't clean it up. Now, I'm going to continue to say I do expect Andrew Thomas to have a good year this year for the New York Giants, but I'd be lying if I wasn't a bit disappointed in his effort last night, and hopefully he doesn't look like that come regular season. And John, man, thank you very much. Trying to stay positive, but I'm frustrated. It can't be that hard to build a decent offensive line. 10 years? Come on, man. John, you're preaching to the choir. I said it in Bad Dog Stream yesterday, John. When I go to bed, I dream about offensive linemen. Most men dream about naked women or, I don't know, a dream vacation. I dream about 350-pound men because I'm a diehard New York Giants fan, and that's what we've needed for the last 10 years, John. And it's been a disgrace. We haven't been able to block. Weren't able to block for Eli Manning. Haven't been able to block for Daniel Jones. And until we get that situated, we're not going to have consistent play with the New York Giants. So I'm hoping these young offensive linemen get better throughout the course of the season. But John, man, thank you very much, buddy. I appreciate it. And Darian, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. You think we will still get more linemen before the season? I think it's still possible. If I'm being honest, I think it's still possible that we could get another offensive lineman. We may sign one off of free agency. That remains to be seen. The Detroit Lions just, I forgot the guy's name. Somebody in the chat's going to say it. But he's a pretty good offensive lineman. He had about a 64 PFF grade last year. Plays tackle. He was cut. There's going to be other offensive linemen that are cut as well that the New York Giants may have their eyes on. I could see us adding another offensive lineman with one of these later cuts. I could definitely see it. Darian, man, thank you very much, man. You think we will still? Oh, I just answered that. I'm sorry. I just answered that. Simon, man, what's going on, buddy? He says Rodarius Williams looked like a bowler yesterday. Yes. He was one of the guys that I was encouraged with yesterday. Of course, he's kind of had an up and down preseason. The first preseason game, he looked really bad. And then he got better. Yesterday, he looked good. He got beat a little bit, I think, on that corner route in the end zone, but he almost got his hand in there, and the wide receiver dropped it. But outside of that, Looked like he was good in coverage. The New York Giants kind of been moving him around a little bit on the outside, nickel roll. He's going to make this team. He'll be one of the depth cornerbacks for the New York Giants. But yeah, he had a pretty good game yesterday. I was encouraged by that. What's going on there, NY Finest Man? Thanks for popping in the stream, buddy. If we had a decent offensive line, Eli would still. I don't know. I mean, maybe he might have been. I mean, we'll never know, Adam. We'll never know. Drew Brees was able to prolong his career because of the way that the New Orleans Saints were able to build up that offensive line. There's no denying that. Let's see what we got. What's up, Jake? He says, don't worry. It's not like we play good pass rushers the first 2 weeks. Yeah. We don't play anybody. What do we play? We play Bradley Chubb. We play Von Miller. We play Montez Sweat. And I don't know if you heard of him, Jake. We're playing a guy named Chase Young. So you're right. If there was ever, there's really not much of a reason to be nervous. First 2 weeks, we're going against nobody off the edge. So I think we should do a great job. There's nothing really to worry about with how Andrew Thomas played yesterday. Richard, man, thank you very much. Yotain, I love Judge's reasons for the Marine cap. Yes, I saw that after the game. That was really cool. I love the way the Judge addresses the media, man. He's so direct. He's so well-spoken. I absolutely love Joe Judge. I don't know how anybody can't. I just hope he starts winning football games so he gets to stay here for a long time. But that was cool, man. What's going on there, Adrian, man? Thanks for popping in. And John, thank you very much. He says, with us picking up Minshew, obviously he's an Eagles fan, guys, it could possibly cause controversy on the downside. But if the projections of Hurts not being good, it could be a blessing in the case of the Giants. Can they recover if Jones stinks or gets hurt? No. Jones stinks this year. The Giants season's over. This season's all about Daniel Jones. There's no denying it. And I'm going to tell you another thing. Gardner Minshew's not good enough to win you football games. He's a decent quarterback. He's a guy that cleaned up in garbage time. He's a fine pickup for you guys. He improves your quarterback room, but he's not your long-term answer. I do think it puts a little bit more pressure on Hurts, but that doesn't mean that Hurts can't respond to it and play better. And we'll see how he does this year. But it was a good pickup for you guys. But if Daniel Jones goes down, the Giants are going to stink. If Jalen Hurts stinks this year, you guys are going to stink. Gardner Minshew's won what? 6 games throughout his entire career in the NFL. You guys don't have that good of a team to begin with. So it was not a bad move. You gave up nothing to get him, and maybe they view him as a guy that could be a solid quarterback in the future, but it doesn't concern me as a New York Giant fan. I'll say that. And what's going on there, Roldy, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Authentic says, book it. Giants are going to start 2-5. I hope not. Oh, I hope not, Authentic. Oh, I hope not. I got to sit 3-4 or 4-3. I got to sit 3-4 or 4-3. I can't decide. I've been back and forth. 3-4 or 4-3. That's what I got. I think we're going to beat Carolina. I think that's our 7th game. I think we're going to lose to the Rams. That's our 6th game. And I got us either 3-2 or 2-3 to start the year. So that's what I got. 3-4 or 4-3 the first 7 games. The key for me is before the bye to get 5 wins, or even 4, but preferably 5. We get 5 wins before the bye. I think we're sitting really pretty in terms of potentially making the playoffs. 4, we're still in a decent spot. I think we got some winnable games. 2 games against the Eagles down the stretch. Chicago Bears with a rookie quarterback. Washington at home. Dallas at home. So I think we got some winnable games down the stretch if we could get to 4 or 5 wins before the break. Let's see what we got here, man. Minshew is crying that the Jags betrayed him. Almost makes me want to cry. What's going on there, Slammer Man? Thanks for popping in, buddy. Still they went all in offseason, but we don't. Giants. What's up, Donnie G, man? Thanks for popping in. Chris, what was the trade? So the New York Giants traded away B.J. Hill, obviously former 3rd-round pick. I think he was a mid-3rd-round pick for the Giants back in 2018 for Billy Price, former 1st-round pick in 2018. Same draft, number 21 overall to the Cincinnati Bengals. I actually, on draft night, thought the New York Giants may draft him in the 2nd round. Obviously, he didn't drop there. We ended up getting Will Hernandez. Billy Price is a center. He's got experience playing the guard. I went over all the details at the beginning of the stream in terms of his PFF numbers and some of the things that the Cincinnati Bengals beat reporters had to say about him. But, yeah, he's a guy, I guess, with some upside. He's only been in the league for 3 years, but up to this point in his career, he's been underwhelming. I think it's a good trade, though. We needed depth on the offensive line. B.J. Hill more than likely wasn't going to play very much this year. He's on the outside. He's not going to play nose tackle. That's going to go to Shelton and Austin Johnson. So I think it was a situation where both teams were kind of deep at a certain area, and they traded away a piece to each team. So I don't see any reason to really complain about this trade personally. I don't think B.J. Hill was going to be re-signed by the New York Giants, and I don't think Billy Price was going to be re-signed by the Cincinnati Bengals based on the fact that they just drafted an offensive lineman. So, yeah, I think it could potentially be a win-win trade for both teams. Let's see what we got here, man. What's going on there, Saddam, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. What's going on there, Taj World? Joey Black. OG, man, thank you very much. He says, what's up with Ross and Tony? They play in week 1 or they hurt right now? Ross has been out, and we'll see if he makes the team. And, yeah, by the way, somebody said peep the dog. He'll pop up again. But, yeah, there's a dog here. Yeah, Ross has been hurt the entire preseason. Hasn't played a whole really at all. And I don't even know if he's definitely making this team. We'll see. Most people still seem to think that he will. In my last projection video, I actually had him missing the team. I know that's a bit of a hot take, but I think from what I read today, they said he was a lot closer to being ready to play. Tony, something came out about a week ago that he is going to be. I don't think they said definitively, but like almost certainly, I think it was worded, will be ready to go week 1. Now, Tony, much like I've said this entire offseason, much like every Giants content creator has probably said, I expect a small role for Tony. I don't think he's going to be going out there and catching a ton of balls. I think they'll use him on jet sweeps. I think they'll use him in the Wildcat. Maybe a bubble screen here and there. They're going to try to get him out in space, try to create big plays, maybe use him in special teams as well. But just his threat on the football field should hopefully help this offense this year, especially in special teams. He could definitely create a big play. Matthew, thank you very much. If the Giants can score 17 points a game, the defense can win us the game. Well, that's what they did last year. So if our offense is the 31st best offense in football, we could do that. I want to score a lot more than 17 points a game. That's like the bottom of the league. Unfortunately, that's a big ask on offense. I don't think it is. We averaged 17 points a game last year. Praying for the health and consistency. I think we're gonna average at least 20 or 21. I'm hoping for more than that. But I think we averaged like 17.2 or something like that last year. Of course, the defense helped with some of the turnovers they were able to create. But thank you very much, man. I appreciate it, buddy. Otis, he says, whose spot do you think Price takes now? Who would have made the team and the trade not gone down today? I don't know if they were going to go with 8 or 9 offensive linemen, but let me look at the depth chart real quick, and I'll let you know. Obviously, the 7 we already knew. The starting 5, if Lemieux's ready to go. Nate Solder and, of course, Jonathan Harrison. And then it was interesting if they were going to go with 8 or 9. I think it was between 6 or 7 guys. You had Jackson Barton, Kenny Wiggins, Chad Slade, Ted Larson, Jake Burton, and Brett Heggie. Either 1 or 2 of those guys are going to make the team, depending if they went with 8 or 9. I think they're going to go with 9. So I think Price is going to be 8. And then 9 is either going to be Ted Larson, Slade, Wiggins. That would be my guess. And obviously he took one of those guys' jobs. And I still think, Otis, that the New York Giants could potentially sign another offensive lineman. And maybe none of those guys make the team. I wouldn't be shocked at all if they try to claim an offensive lineman that's like a last-second cut by another team around the league. And G Nation, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I think Gates will move to guard position. Price will be Harrison's backup. It depends on if Lemieux's ready to go, but I hope not. I preferably would like to keep Gates at the center. He's built chemistry with Daniel Jones. In an ideal world, I hope they do not move Nick Gates this year. Now, if they got to do it, they got to do it. Nick Gates has proven that he's capable to play both the guard and the tackle spot. If they got to do it, they got to do it. But I would prefer that he stayed at the center position. I don't want to be playing musical chairs like we were last year. Blue, man, thank you very much. Too early to call Thomas a bust, but it would be nice to get a number 1 pick to hit early. But if he is a bust, does it land on Judge? No more excuses for Daniel Jones. Here's what I'm going to say, man. And hopefully he's not a bust. And like you said, it's way too early. It's way too early, especially for a guy. And I know it was really bad last night. Really bad. Okay. And I'm not making excuses for him. But especially for a guy that up until last night, everything you heard about the guy was marvelous. They said he looked good in the preseason games. He looked great in training camp. He was growing. The second half last year, he looked much better than the first half. So it's way too early to call him a bust. But if he is a bust, I do think some of it does fall on Judge. And just like obviously a lot of it falls on Gettleman. But I think we all agree. Everybody says that Judge is very hands-on with these draft picks. Well, if you're going to say that, well, then you have to at least leave him partially responsible for the draft pick of Andrew Thomas. But obviously the full brunt is going to go on Dave Gettleman. But once you fire Gettleman, if Thomas is a bust, and if he is a bust, we will be firing Gettleman more than likely. Well, then heads are going to start to turn to Joe Judge. That's at least my take on it. But obviously the main culprit is going to be looked at as Gettleman. And that's why when things go good, I don't say it's because of Joe Judge. I say it's because of Gettleman. When things go bad, I'm going to put the blame on Dave Gettleman. He's the general manager. The buck stops there. Do I think that Joe Judge was involved in that draft pick? You're damn right I do. I think it was a collaborative effort. There's no denying it. And we all agree that a lot of the things this team does since Joe Judge has come on has been very collaborative. But I'm going to put the full brunt of the responsibility on Dave Gettleman. And Neil, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Andrew Thomas showed out at camp. I know he sucked yesterday, but I won't let a preseason game deter me of what I can think of what he could do for this team. Neither will I. I'm not going to panic yet. I'd be lying if I said it didn't leave me at least slightly more concerned than I thought I was going to be going into the year, but I'm not flipping out yet. We'll see how he does in the regular season. He's definitely going to be put to the test the first couple of games, though. There's no denying it. Richard, man, thank you very much. Flowers 2.0, I hope not. if he's Flowers 2.0, let's pack up shop. Now this team's going nowhere fast. I remember in 2018, we all went in with expectations. We get Saquon Barkley. First drive, I knew the season was over. First drive of the season, I knew the season was over because Eric Flowers looked like a traffic cone, and he was just getting beat on the left side over and over and over again on the first drive. If you see that coming out week one, it's going to be a long season for the New York Giants. You cannot have a very bad left tackle in the NFL and expect to have a good offense. So it's going to be a tough year for the Giants if that's the case. I don't think he will be. I think he's going to be a good left tackle this year, but I understand why people are starting to panic a little bit based off the results from last night. Let's see what we got here. Austin Ryder is still out there. He is. I don't think we're going to sign him, though. Austin Ryder actually visited with the Giants. You're talking about the former Kansas City Chief. He has obviously played some center. I think he's capable of playing guard as well. He's already visited with the New York Giants, and he didn't leave with a deal. I think Ryder's probably waiting it out and seeing where his best opportunity is. Maybe he didn't want to have to go through training camp. Maybe we'll sign him, but we'll see. I doubt it. I don't think we're going to sign Austin Ryder at this point, but we'll see. Updates on injuries from yesterday. I haven't heard anything, Kalen. All I heard was that Evan Ingram may be out for the first week. It may linger longer than we thought initially. Because when I first saw it, it didn't look too serious. But I think I read that, and maybe somebody in the chat could give you a better answer. But I think I read that I'm not going to say he's going to be out for week one, but it's not looking promising as of right now. And I got to do more research on that, but didn't have a chance to look further into it. But I think that's what I read today. Let's see, we got Thomas is overthinking his game. It's no big deal. Malcolm, that's what I hope it is, because that's what I was thinking about after the game. Well, I'm hoping that with the new offensive line coach being taught new techniques, he's thinking and not reacting. And he's got to stop doing that if that's the case. He's got to react. But, last year, and I think Bobby talked about it in his video last night, Andrew Thomas was getting beat on the inside over and over and over again at the beginning of the year. Now he's getting beat on the outside over and over and over again. And it was even in the first preseason game. So I'm hoping he's making changes to his technique and he's trying to work on things and he's thinking rather than reacting. And hopefully that'll be the case as we get going in week one. Sports fan, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it, man. He says Thomas just needs to work on instincts. I mean, I think he's thinking a lot. That's for damn sure. I think that was obvious. And hopefully that'll be the case, man. He's got to be much better than he was last night. Would you rather Sills or Pettis at the final wide receiver spot? Well, I know everybody in this chat wants Sills. He's like the fan favorite. Here's my line of thinking. If I was Judge or whoever makes up the 53, I would say to myself, which player if I was only going with 6 wide receivers, which player has a better chance at getting through waivers? Like which player, if I let Pettis go, is somebody going to claim him? Is it more likely somebody's going to claim him or somebody going to claim Sills? And if I came to the conclusion that it's more likely somebody's going to claim Pettis, I'd roster Pettis, and then I would try to put Sills in my practice squad so I could keep both of them. That would be my line of thinking. I think they're going to go with Pettis. Pettis was playing with the first team last night. Sills didn't get out on the field till the third quarter. Take that for what you will. But Sills didn't catch one ball from Daniel Jones last night. Didn't get one pass attempt from Daniel Jones. Wasn't on the field with Daniel Jones. So take that for what you will. But the way I looked at that was Pettis maybe higher than him on the depth chart. So we'll see. I always thought C.J. Board was going to get in above him because of his special teams. He could kick return. He could punt return. He's a gunner. Obviously a wide receiver as well. At the back end of the wide receiver core, you're looking for guys that can help on special teams, do multiple things. So if they go with 6, it's going to be tough sledding. I don't know if he's going to make the team. If they go with 7, I think he's got a good shot. So yeah, Hernandez played really well. He had a 92 PFF grade. Came out today, 92 PFF grade. There was actually a couple of good individual performances yesterday on the offensive line. It's just that Andrew Thomas stuck out like a sore thumb. Matt Parrott didn't look very good either. And Nate Solder actually looked decent for the Giants yesterday. I think he had about 35 snaps. He started on the right side. That'll be interesting to see if he is in the starting lineup at the beginning of the year. G Nation, man, thank you very much. Would love to do a show with you. Well, I'm going to have subscribers on Saturday, the night before the game. I'm going to be doing that this year. I did it last year. It'll probably be about 2.5, 3 hours. I'm going to have a round table and every night before the game. So I guess it'll be Wednesday the following week, or we'll figure it out because it's on Thursday night. But I'm going to be doing that, and we'll have live callers that call in. So that's what we're going to do. Let's see what we got here. Nate Solder was not good from we. I wouldn't say, you know what? Maybe not good. Better. Better than Matt Peart. He still may have not been good. Better than Matt Peart, which is not saying a whole lot. Let's see what we got. I don't think you can mess with one stat Jones has. Over 25 yards, he was 52%. I think that's untouchable, dude. Hence, Kenny Gallaudet. Have hope, guys. Sheesh. I think Daniel Jones is going to do good this year. I've been saying it all along, as long as we can block. Sorry, man. Thank you very much. Undercover Eagle fan saying season's over yesterday. I could care less what Eagles fans say. And Eds, he says, Gettleman proves every day how bad he is as a GM. So, Eds, and I know, Eds, you hate pretty much everything Dave Gettleman does and the New York Giants do. What's your complaint with this trade? I'm just curious because I honestly don't see a real complaint with this trade. I don't think BJ Hill was going to play at all. If he was, it was going to be very limited snaps. We're pretty deep there. And even if Price doesn't play, I think we all agree that we needed at a bare minimum depth on the offensive line. Billy Price at least gives us that. So neither one is a commitment after this year. So I don't really see the reason to hate this trade. I think we needed more depth on the offensive line than the defensive line. Cincinnati needed more help on the defensive line than the offensive line. I think both teams helped one another out. That's the way I look at this trade. Neither one of these players were going to be in the long-term plans of the teams that traded them. So I don't see a reason to not like this trade. Let's see what we got here, man. We're all excited for the Giants this season, but I'm also really looking forward. Yeah, of course, Neil. I'm looking forward to the Knicks, man. BJ was never going to get. Exactly. That's the way I look at it. He wasn't going to play. Let's see. Thomas needs to talk to his college. You remember that one that came out, Lloyd, last year? Jake said we should all meet up at MetLife for a game to see the G-Men. We could call the area. Oh, okay. Clocks, what's going on? Chris, Mayfield's touchdown throw yesterday was special. Jones' touchdown throw was just a throw. You want to have to say, no, not everyone can make that throw. I just disagree with you on that, Clocks. I know you don't like Daniel Jones, but I disagree. I think it was a very good throw. I didn't get a chance to see Mayfield's throw, so I can't speak on it. But I think Daniel Jones made a very good throw. I think it was a damn good throw yesterday, the touchdown throw. Let's see what we got here. Do you think the defense can be atop the league in interceptions this year? Well, yeah, Chris. Just overall turnovers. I made a video at the beginning of the year, one of my hot takes, I guess. I think we could be in the top 3 or 4 in the NFL in turnovers this year in terms of created turnovers. You added Dory Jackson. I think we're going to be very good in coverage. I think we're going to be more aggressive because of it. You'll get more coverage sacks. You'll hit the quarterback more, could create more fumbles. So I think we're going to create a lot of turnovers this year. Last night, obviously, we had the Blake Martinez interception. I think we're going to create a lot of turnovers this year, whether that means leading the league in interceptions, fumbles, force, whatever. We're going to be near tops in the league in that department, at least in my opinion, this year. That's my prediction. We were 10th last year. But let's see what we got here. Yeah, the Jones throw was great. But DJ can make throws not too many quarterbacks can make, but makes bad decisions only a few others make. I think that's a proper assessment of Daniel Jones. Now, when you say a lot of throws quarterbacks can't make, I want Clocks to understand this. When I say that, it has nothing to do with his arm strength. I think he's got average arm strength. I think he's got maybe slightly above average to average arm strength. His arm strength doesn't jump off the page to me. It's his touch and it's his accuracy on the deep throws. I think he's incredibly accurate when he has time to throw the football. And the burner, what's going on, man? Ed's Mr. Negative Nancy, hindsight being 2020. What would you have done since you can do better? Fan base quitting the season already. This is an hey man. Listen, you got to realize this, burner. Fans have a right, and I get it. They have a right to be negative about this football team. They have a right to be speculative going into the year. I don't tell anybody how to root for their team, and I understand that this team's delivered 15 wins over the last 3 years. So I get why people are negative, but at the same time, I do see reason for hope going into the year. But we need things to break our way, and we need this offensive line to look a lot better than they did in the preseason, and hopefully that will be the case. But, I can't blame people for not being super confident going into the year. There's still a lot of things that have to go right, and hopefully they do. Let's see what we got here. What's your prediction for the Bears? Need them to be bad this year? Yeah, all right. I get this question a lot, and I always got to look over the Bears schedule. I will give you their exact record this year. And it's obviously it's tough. I don't know the Bears that well. I don't follow them nearly as closely as I follow the Giants. Week 1's a loss. They're not winning in LA. 0-1. Bengals home, I'll give them a win. At the Browns is a loss, 1-2. Lions is a win, 2-2. At the Raiders, I'm going to give them a win. I actually think the Raiders are complete dog shit. I think we're going to beat the hell out of them, 3-2. Home against the Packers, I'm going to give them a loss, 3-3. At the Bucs, loss, 3-4. I'm going to have them losing at home against the 49ers, 3-5. At the Steelers, loss, 3-6. Ravens home, loss, 3-7. At the Lions, win, 4-7. Cardinals home, I'll give them a win. That's being very nice, 5-7. At the Packers, loss, 5-8. Vikings home, I'll give them a win. Easily could lose, 6-8. At the Seahawks, I'll give them a loss, 6-9. Giants, I'm going to give us a win, 6-10. I'm going to have them at 6-11. I'm going to have them at 6-11. Chicago Bears this year, 6-11, maybe 7-10. What's going on there, sports influencer man? Thanks for popping in the stream, buddy. Can't wait to see Saquon Barkley out there. I just hope our O-line holds up. Man, you and me both, man. I've been dying to see Saquon Barkley out on the football field, and can't wait to see him out there week number 1. I was happy that we didn't play him in the preseason game, though. I thought it was unnecessary. Didn't need to do that. Give him some contact and practice. Barkley's presence out there, you have to think, helps the offensive line at least a little bit. Makes the offense a little bit less predictable. But, offensive line, like you said, has to get the job done. Is that with or without Fields? I don't think it matters. I mean, maybe a little bit. Maybe Fields adds a win or two, but rookie quarterbacks don't get a lot of wins. I don't care how good they are. Justin Herbert had 6 wins last year. I think rookie quarterbacks struggle in terms of the win-loss department. Here's what I'll say about Justin Fields, and maybe I'll be wrong. I don't know. He could be a great quarterback long-term, but everybody that's hyping this guy up, or any rookie quarterback up for that matter, they're going against second-team defenses. They're going up against second-team defenses that have no book on these players yet. So I'm not going to read too much into Justin Fields, none of these rookie quarterbacks, until I see them in a regular season game going up against the first-team defense. Rookie quarterbacks struggle. There's no denying it. Very rarely do you see and especially with that Chicago Bears offensive line, they have a very bad offensive line. I don't think Justin Fields is going to kill it. I know he's looked good in the preseason. Let's see him do it in the regular season. Edge, man, thank you very much, man. It's not the trade. It's the fact he did nothing until now to address the line. What are people missing? How to get them and not see this coming? Horrible GM. This offseason, I agree. I hope I'm wrong. 2020, he did address the offensive line. He drafted 3 offensive linemen. 3rd and 5th round, he's banking on those players to get much better. But if they don't, horrible decision. He had Rashawn Slater sitting in his lap. I'm not gonna say that he's done nothing to try, but it hasn't worked. He signed Nate Solder, which, if anybody's being honest with themselves, everybody understood the signing when he made it, but it didn't work out. He drafted Will Hernandez. We'll see. I still think it's yet to be determined with Will, but he needs a big jump this year. That same year in 2018. So he spent a boatload of money on a tackle that year, a very early draft pick on a guard that year. He was the 2nd guard in that draft that was drafted. Then in 2019, didn't address the offensive line outside of the guy that we drafted in the 7th round who never even made the team, George Asapo-Ajay. 2020, drafted 3 offensive linemen. And this year, he traded for Zeitler, obviously a year prior to, with the Cleveland Browns to be a stopgap guard, but then he didn't retain him. And then this year he did nothing to fill that vacancy. So these young players got to get better. If they don't, he's going to look like a fool. Period. End of story. Wait, when did this happen? What are you talking about, Jacob? The trade just happened about an hour ago. And BJ Boogie says, Chris, this 2018 draft class is looking worse by the minute. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look good. I mean, well, here's the thing, man. BJ Hill, it is what it is. He's a 3rd-round pick. He wasn't going to be re-signed anyway. We traded Leonard Williams. So I don't think by us trading BJ Hill, it makes the draft class look any worse, if that's what people are getting at. But Saquon Barkley, of course, right now doesn't look like the best of picks. Will Hernandez, like I said, we'll see. If he turns out to be a very good guard this year, maybe that pick looks a lot better. Lorenzo Carter had an unfortunate injury. We'll see how he does this year. BJ Hill now off the team. And, of course, we drafted that quarterback. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but Kyle Lauletta, who was a complete trash can. So, yeah, I mean, that draft class does not look good. The draft class does not look good right now, man. And let's see what we got here, man. Gentlemen, legit question. Are the Bengals trying to kill Burrow? That's a good question. That's a very good question because they didn't draft the lineman. Now they're trading away a line. Yeah, I think they should have taken a tackle. I really do. I think they should have taken a tackle with their pick. I didn't like the Jamar Chase pick. A lot of people are getting on Jamar Chase. I would say ease off that a bit. The guy hasn't played in a real football game in about 700 days. Didn't play college football last year. The same can be said for Penei Sewell, that everybody's ragging on him. Didn't play in college football all of last year. You got to remember that. But regardless, I think Cincinnati should have taken a lineman. I think it was a big mistake by them to take a wide receiver. Didn't agree with that pick at all. No, Conley was 2019, I think, Jake. Could be wrong, but I think he was 2019. I think Conley was 2019. Yeah, it was the same year as Slayton. We had 2 fifth-round picks because we had a comp pick. One was Conley, one was Slayton. 10 years of abysmal line plays, got people wanting overnight change, get them in, preaches hogs. This is the year that makes or breaks the GM. I agree, Tashima. It's now or never. It's now or never. And this is the year. Whether or not we're going to see if Gettleman did a good job. Period, end of story. Terrence, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, if we stick to the run, we'll go 11-6 this year. Maybe. And if the defense is that good, it's possible. But if Barkley could stay healthy all year, maybe. I do think we're going to run the ball. I think we're going to take more shots this year with the weapons we've added, but I definitely think we're going to stay committed to the run. It may not be as as boring as last year in the sense that we run the ball, it was all 3-yard passes, and I think we'll take more shots, but I do think we'll stay committed to the run this year. Our offensive line does a better job in terms of run blocking. You look at Rob Sale, the guy that we brought in, he heavily favored the run with his play calling while he was in college. You have to assume that's what he specializes in terms of offensive line development. So I think the New York Giants are going to run the ball. I think they're going to run the ball a whole hell of a lot, and I think they're going to try to create big passing play opportunities off of it. Yeah, and the strength of this team is still the defense. As good as some of the pieces we added on offense may have been, we still have to play to the strength of this team, and that's the defense. And a good ground game is what complements a defense. So I do think we'll run the ball, and I think we're going to try to hit on a few more big plays than we did last year. Let's see what we got. Speaking of Slayton, oh, God. Listen, man. Chris. Darius Slayton. I ain't going to be so nice to Darius Slayton this year, man. Everybody gets on Evan Ingram, rightfully so. Rightfully so. Okay, Evan Ingram last year had 11 drops. Nobody ever says anything about Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton had 6 drops last year and 60 targets. Maybe I'm wrong on the targets. He had his drop problems last year, believe me. And then yesterday is that big key drop on the 3rd and 13. I'm starting to get at my wit's end with Darius Slayton a bit as well. Let's put it that way. I don't have supreme confidence with him at the wide receiver position. Let's see what we got here. Beal and Love, Williams all look good. They did the cornerbacks did look pretty good. Thoughts on the trade? I think I missed your thoughts. In my opinion, Sean, there's no reason not to like the trade. Do I think it's going to be this incredible trade? No, I think we brought this guy in to be a depth offensive lineman, but it was a need of ours. BJ Hill wasn't going to be in the long-term plans of this team. He was going to be a backup. Anybody that's crying about this trade is just crying to cry. That's my honest opinion. I don't really see a real reason to hate this trade. Billy Price is going to come in. He's capable of playing the center or the guard position if somebody goes down. BJ Hill wasn't going to play. And if he was, it was going to be sparingly. And let's see how Raymond Johnson does, whoever we bring in on the roster that's going to take his spot. So and he wasn't going to be back after this year. Giants clearly weren't going to sign him. So I don't see any reason to hate this trade. We all know that we needed more help on the offensive line. They got a former first-round pick. Maybe they feel he's a guy that they could coach up given the opportunity. Dominic, man, thank you very much. He says, I know it's only preseason, but what did you think of Garrett's play calling with some of the starters? And do you like the Hill trade? I do like the Hill trade, like I just said. For all the reasons that I just said. I do like the Hill trade. It was an obvious need of ours to get the offensive lineman. And like you said, it's preseason, so I can't get a full grasp on his play calling. It's going to be vanilla. He doesn't have all of his weapons in there. Barkley wasn't in there. Gallaudet wasn't in there. Tony wasn't in there. The one thing I'll say about the offense yesterday, yeah, I know all the stick concepts. People really hit home with that. We didn't block. If you can't block, you can't take shots down the field. That's at least the way that I look at it. So let's start blocking and maybe you can take more shots down the field. But yes, is it not the most innovative offense? Sure. I definitely get that side of the argument from people. I do think that he had some good pre-snap motion in the running game. He got a little bit creative there. But again, you're not showing the whole playbook during preseason. I personally think, and this is just my opinion, everybody's got their own, people that are being overly critical about Jason Garrett in the preseason, I think they're being a little bit over the top. It's the same thing that I say to people that are overly critical about Daniel Jones in the preseason. It's preseason. They're trying to work on things that they need to work on. So I'm going to give Jason Garrett a real chance, just like I think everybody should. I think everybody should give Daniel Jones a real chance. I think everybody should give Saquon Barkley a real chance. Jason Garrett had nothing to work with last year. That's my opinion on Jason Garrett. Everybody says Daniel Jones had nothing to work with. Jason Garrett had nothing to work with. So now that they both have something to work with, let's see how they work together. Let's give them 3, 4, 5 weeks in this offense, and let's see how they do. That's my take on Jason Garrett. Sports Betting, thank you very much. Game plan for the Broncos should be the same game plan we had for the Seahawks last year. We cannot afford to start with losses. Oh, and so that's the only way we're going to win that game. If we're being honest with ourselves, we're not going to win that game by getting into a shootout. We're going to have to run the football against the Broncos. We're going to have to protect the football, not turn the football over, call some RPOs, maybe try to get Daniel Jones out in space. I think that has to be the game plan. Have to rely on that run. Like you said, similar game plan to what we came out with against Seattle. Obviously, you want to throw the ball a little bit more. We didn't throw the ball at all with Colt McCoy, but heavily focused on the ground game and hope that our offensive line could get a good push up front. That's got to be the game plan, and we'll see if it works. T-Man, T, thank you very much. Evan Ingram is no bueno in the red zone, where a big tight end should be able to push over the goal line, not six inches short. I don't think we'll miss it. No, he's not going to be in the line. We're not keeping Evan Ingram, T. And thank you very much. I appreciate that. And this is going to be his last year as a New York Giant. And when you went back and you looked at the film, there's highlights all over Twitter. The play before that, the Giants would have scored a touchdown on the run, actually, on second down, had Kyle Rudolph been able to play. They had Evan Ingram in there on the goal line package, and he just got completely blown off the ball. He got knocked on his ass, and he came around the side and just stuffed the run at the half-yard line. And we all know that's not Evan Ingram's strength. So I just wanted to point that out. We probably would have scored a touchdown on that second down play had we ran it in. And I do think had we been at full strength, we would have ran the ball again on third down. But my line of thinking last night was that Garrett and the Giants wanted to give Jones an opportunity to throw the ball on the goal line, being that he and the Giants offense struggled in that area last year. So I didn't mind them trying to do that in a regular season game. Obviously, I want you running the football there on third and goal at the half-yard line, but not at full strength. I get it in a preseason game. You want to try to work on some things that you're not so good at. Let's see what we got. I'm the only person who wants to trade for Deshaun. He's better than Jones. It's just not going to happen. The Giants aren't trading for Deshaun Watson. Can we trade Ingram for an O-lineman? I don't see it happening, especially after he got hurt. We're definitely not going to be able to trade him. We don't know when he's going to be able to come back and play. Hopefully it's soon, but we don't even know. Everybody keeps talking about the JPP trade. Yeah, the JPP trade was bad. It's over and done with, but, I mean, we shouldn't be saying this now. We knew that B.J. Hill wasn't going to be here after this year. We knew he wasn't going to have a role in the defense anyway. But, yeah, that trade didn't work. But I could have told you that before this year. Us trading B.J. Hill has nothing to do with it. I know obviously people are going to start talking about it now because we traded B.J. Hill. But, yeah, we ended up getting B.J. Hill and what else? Kyle Lauletta, I think, for Jason Pierre-Paul. Yeah, it was a bad trade. And I would have more understood the trade had we not then went and traded for Alec Ogletree. You know, it was almost like we used the money that we saved for Pierre-Paul and then brought in another guy that was getting the same amount of money at the linebacker position. Everything was a mess in 2018. We know that. They should have rebuilt. They didn't do it. They were trying to half-ass everything. They tried to trade some guys away, bring some other guys in. It was a mess in 2018. We could talk about it for 3 hours if you want. Louis, man, thank you very much. You ever going to bust out a course on how to become a successful sports announcer on YouTube? How much would you charge? I mean, I don't really have anything to tell you, Louis. I mean, I've been watching sports my whole life, and I never started on YouTube with the intention of doing play-by-play. I remember when I first started on YouTube, a lot of my subscribers asked me to go live and watch the games with them. And I was drinking my first stream. I was pretty drunk. And, you know, I was doing like not even a real play-by-play. And then I realized as the game was wearing down, people were like, no, we need your play-by-play. And they actually took it seriously. And that's when I started to take it a lot more seriously. But I don't know, man. I've been watching sports my whole life. And I don't know. I guess that helps. I don't know. But I don't know. Just that personality. I don't know what to say. But I love doing it. I wouldn't be able to give you a good course. Let's see what we got here. B.J. Hill trade. But we got Billy. Yeah, B.J. Hill for Billy Price. That was the trade. B.J. Hill for Billy Price. Same old trash O-line, same old Danny Jones coming from an Eagles fan. What's up, James, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, buddy. Will Kenny Gallaudet be playing week 1? I think he will be, yes. I think Kenny Gallaudet is going to be playing week 1. I've expected that for quite some time. I think the Giants have been cautious, as they should be, with Kenny Gallaudet. I expect him to be out there on the field week 1, and hopefully he can provide us some help in the red zone. Fabian says, hey, Dana, how's it going? Hopefully the tides are turning for the better soon. They better be. Tyler, man, thank you very much. Who will be the starting 5 offensive lineman week 1? Well, it all depends on Shane Lemieux. If Shane Lemieux is healthy, he's going to start, I would think. So I think it'll be Thomas. I would think Parrott still, but it's either going to be Parrott or Solder on the right side. I would still lean Parrott, but maybe it'll be Solder. Obviously, Solder got the opportunity to start yesterday, so we'll see. But I'll still go Thomas, Parrott, Lemieux, Hernandez, and Gates. That's what I've expected all along. that's what I'll stick with. But if Lemieux's unable to go, well, that could mean that Harrison could get the start. I doubt Price would start. He hasn't played with these offensive linemen all offseason, so I doubt he would start opening day. I would think Harrison would get the start if Lemieux can't go. That'd be my guess, at least. And Joseph, man, thank you very much, man, for the $5 super sticker, man. I really appreciate that, buddy. Thank you to everybody for being here, by the way. I appreciate it. If you guys haven't done so, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, ring the bell. Thank you guys for being the best supporters on YouTube. Hopefully you guys enjoying the midday stream. Like I said, was going to go live anyway, talk about the game, recap some of the things you want to talk about, and then there was a big trade that went down, so I figured we'll talk about that as well. Sports Brother, thank you very much. Okay. What about Austin Ryder? Solder at right tackle. I don't see us bringing in Austin Ryder. I think we would have done it already. He visited here, left here without a contract. Maybe we will. I don't expect it. I don't think it's going to happen. We just brought in Price, who's his center. That's what Ryder plays anyway. I don't see it. We traded draft capital. We could have just signed Ryder in the first place. So not draft capital, rather. We traded a player. So I don't see it. I don't think we're bringing in Austin Ryder. Solder at right tackle is possible. I was surprised that he got the start last night. So we'll see. It's obviously either going to be Solder or paired opening day. Edge, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Somebody says respect. Hold on one second. Let me pull up real quick. Respect your opinion. What do you feel is the biggest weakness? All right, I'm going to get to this. I'm going to get to Ed's. Leon, man, thank you very much. And he's a Washington fan. What do you think is the biggest weakness for each of the other teams in the East? All right, so I won't even talk about the Giants. Cowboys, it's obvious, in my opinion, it's the secondary. That they're starting a rookie corner. That's clearly their biggest weakness. I think teams are going to be able to throw on them. Washington, I say it all the time. I'm being fair with you guys. I think you're the most complete football team, but I think you have a major question mark at the quarterback. You know, I don't think Fitzpatrick is far from a lock. You don't know what you're getting with him. So I would say Fitzpatrick's your biggest weakness. And the Eagles, I'm going to be honest with you. I got to think about this for a while. With the Eagles, I would say it's the entire team. I would say it's all 53 players and the head coach. But maybe, I don't know, it might be a bigger problem than that. But I'm just going to go with the 53 players. That's what I'll go with the Eagles. But Washington, I'd say the quarterback. Dallas, I'd say the secondary. The Eagles, I'd say the 53-man roster. That would be my answer for you. Edge, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, tell Burner, if I was GM instead of Gettleman, we would be light years ahead of this team. We would have a real left tackle, Chase Young and Bradley Chubb over Saquon Barkley. Well, if you had the chance to draft Chase Young and we lost enough games, that may be the case. But I know you want to Chase Young with a passion. And I mean, anybody would have drafted. I think any Giants fan would have drafted Chase Young had we had the opportunity to draft him. And Octave, man, thank you very much. I swear we got a Vikings-like line. Where are we good for run blocking, but bad? Why are we good for run blocking, but bad for pass protection? Well, I think that's what Andrew Thomas was known for in college. He was known to be a better run blocker. I think you could say the same for Hernandez. I just think we're better run blockers than pass blockers, but we got to get much better in that area, man. Obviously, we were pretty good in that area last year over the last 8 games, but the pass blocking has to get much better this year, and hopefully it does, man. That's all I can say. I don't know that. I'm not going to say that I know it's not going to be, but I'm also not going to say that I know it's going to be. But I will tell you it has to be if we're going to be good. Terrence, man, thank you very much. Some people who want DJ gone also wanted Haskins. Well, that is true. That is true. That doesn't mean that it's not fair to want him gone now, but that is true. A lot of them did want Haskins. No denying that. And I think DJ could get it done. It's just a matter of being able to block for the guy this year. I do think he could get it done if we could block. Let's see what we got here. Your set, man. He says, Chris, do you think we should play Tony at running back for 40% of the snaps because he's not going to get a lot of catches because of our wide receiver depth? What do you mean? 40% of his snaps, not 40% of the overall snaps. 40% of his snaps? I wouldn't be shocked if they did that. I mean, I don't know how much he's going to be out on the football field, whether it's being used as a running back or being used as a runner in a jet sweep type of situation, the wildcat. I do think they're going to use him a fair amount in that capacity. So don't expect him to be a traditional running back, but they're going to try to get him the ball in open space. I think that's what they're going to do. So I expect to see a lot of jet sweeps. Expect to see, like I said, some wildcat snaps, some bubble screens, maybe some quick passes over the middle. I think that's going to be his role with his football team this year. What's up there, Jesse, man? Thanks for popping in. Can you see Rudolph on the field to help block more week 1 and 2 to open up the passing game? Well, yeah, hopefully. He's not known as an incredible blocker, but he's known as a pretty good blocker. And I think where he's really going to help this team is in the red zone. You know, here's what I'll say about that play, and it was a horrible throw by Daniel Jones last night. If that's Rudolph, I think it's a touchdown. I think Rudolph sits down in that zone and he catches that football. Ingram kept running the route. Rudolph is a very good red zone target. I think that's why we brought him in here. Hasn't dropped the ball since he's been in the NFL. Of course, you got to develop chemistry with your quarterback, though, in that situation. But Rudolph is one of the better red zone threats in the NFL. 48 career touchdowns, 40 of them have come from within the red zone. We struggled there a lot last year. I think that's the main reason why we brought him in, to help out Daniel Jones close to the end zone. You haven't even seen him play, you schmuck. I don't know who we're talking about. Rob Travis? But I don't know. Maybe he's talking to me. Maybe he's talking to somebody else. I don't know, Rob. You're calling me a schmuck? I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm just guessing at how they're going to use Tony. I'm not telling you that's how they're going to use him. I don't know. Maybe he's talking to somebody else. Let's see what we got here. Giants have missed with O-line investments. Yes, they have. They've missed with O-line investments for the last 10 years. Who is Billy Price, and why is that all we got for B.J. Hill? Well, what did you expect to get for B.J. Hill? That's the first question that I'll ask you is, what did you expect to get for B.J. Hill? What did you expect to get for B.J. Hill? B.J. Hill hasn't played for 2 years with the Giants. He's got, I think, 7.5 career sacks. He's got 2 sacks over his last 2 years combined. Hasn't been on the field. The most you would have gotten for him is maybe, you just saw a backup. Here's what I'm going to say for everybody that thought we should get so much for B.J. Hill. What do you think is more valuable? A backup quarterback or a backup defensive lineman? Because the Eagles just got a really good backup quarterback, and they had to give up a 5th or a 6th round pick. So what did you think you were going to get for B.J. Hill 2 weeks before the start of the season? A guy that we weren't going to sign, a guy that really wasn't going to play for the Giants this year. So the way I look at it is you weren't going to get much for him. You were able to get a depth offensive lineman that is probably better than anybody that you would have been able to claim off of waivers after teams made their cuts. So that's the way I look at it. You're getting a former first-round pick in 2018 and a guy that hopefully the New York Giants feel like they could get a lot out of. The Broncos' defensive line is going to terrorize the Giants. I understand where you're coming from. That's for damn sure. But it was for depth, which we need for our O-line. Yeah, that's what it was. Tana, what do you see in DJ that shows you he has room for growth? Did you watch the game last night? Seriously, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, and I'm not saying that Daniel Jones is this incredible talent, but you can't. At least in my opinion, if you're being completely unbiased, if you watch how the guy throws the football, and again, you're not even getting to see the full repertoire last night. He didn't use the legs; they didn't have any design runs or anything like that. But in terms of the way that he throws the football, the touch he could put on passes, I see potential in Daniel Jones. I'm not telling you he's Pat Mahomes, but I think he could be a good quarterback, and I think his pocket awareness has gotten better. I think he senses the blitz better. I think he's gotten better in that aspect. Is it where it needs to be? No. But I do see potential in Daniel Jones. I think he could be a much better quarterback than what we've seen. I will say that right now. If we could block. Let's see what we got here. Were you in Disney yesterday? No. Why would I be in Disney? Let's see what we got here. But how long is this live? I don't know, Jameson. I started at 2? Well, I don't even know what time I started. Probably about another hour, maybe another half. I don't know. What time did I start? I don't even know. 2:45, right? So yeah, probably like 5 o'clock. Probably another hour. Let's see what we got here. I have a hard time finding a serious problem with the Giants team outside of the O-line. Well, that's our biggest problem. Take that. By far our biggest problem. But it's probably the most important part of a football team. So if you don't have a good offensive line, everything could go up in smoke. But some dude looked just like you, started talking to me about the Giants. I was wearing my Browns OBJ jersey. Wasn't me. Nick Gates, the right tackle. No. I think Nick Gates is going to stay at the center spot. I don't think they're moving him around. I don't think they want to mess with that chemistry between Jones and Gates. He did a good job at the center spot last year. He's staying at the center spot. They're not moving him to the right tackle. If anybody's going to play right tackle, if it's not Matt Parrott, it'll be Nate Solder. What's going on, Mike? Man, thanks for popping in, buddy. He says, how you feeling, my man? Feeling good, Mike. I just punched a window. I'm glad it didn't break. I like the trade today. I think the Giants got good value there with Price. I think it was something that we needed. So I think that was a good move. As far as yesterday goes, Andrew Thomas is scaring the hell out of me. That's basically my roundup with this football team right now. The defense looks really good, as we expect. That's going to keep us in football games. Didn't get obviously didn't get a real full taste of the team yet. Haven't, it's preseason, dummy down playbook, didn't have our weapons in there, but Andrew Thomas scared the hell out of me yesterday. Let's see what we got. We should have gotten just a few. We'll see. We'll see, Frank. If DJ threw the ball away or Ingram stopped in the zone, people wouldn't have anything to bash him and fans would be praising him. They still wouldn't be praising him. They just wouldn't have anything to bash him for. If he threw 2 touchdowns and went 17 for 20, they'd still find something to complain about. But they wouldn't be able to bash him today. Let's see what we got here. Pizza for supper, Chris. What's going on? Anthony Manning's popping on the stream, buddy. What week do you think Barkley will be back? Week 1. I think Saquon Barkley will be back week 1. Sam, week 1. And who is your team? Who do you think my team is? What's up, Chris? Anselmo, man, thank you very much. Honestly, to me, being a run-heavy team is not super sustainable for long-term success. Why not pass a lot to give DJ a chance to shine or fail? Being run-heavy keeps the team in the dead zone of 6 and 10. I mean, I don't necessarily think that's true. I mean, here's what I'm going to show you, Anselmo. Hold on one second. And I'm not, I want to throw the ball more this year, and I definitely want to take more deep shots. But here's what I'm going to say. Like, people who say that, I'm going to show you this chart right now. In terms of run-heavy teams. This is. I'm taking a 1-year sample size, and I can show you several of the years after that. But I'm just going to take a 1-year sample size for you right now. How do I show the screen? I forgot. Where is it? Here we go. Share the screen, and we're going to do Chrome tab, and we are going to share this. Okay, so if you look at this, this is the run frequency in the NFL last year. Baltimore made the playoffs. New England did not. Tennessee made the playoffs. Cleveland made the playoffs. New Orleans made the playoffs. So 4 of the top 5 teams made the playoffs in terms of run frequency. Teams that ran the most in football. Minnesota did not. The Rams did. 5 out of the top 7. So, and if you go back another year, you could do this every year. 2019, running percentage. Baltimore made the playoffs. 49ers made the Super Bowl. Tennessee made the playoffs. Minnesota, I believe, made the playoffs the previous year. The Colts made the playoffs. Seattle made the playoffs. Buffalo made the playoffs. So I disagree with that. You obviously have to be able to throw the football, but I disagree. If you could run, that only enhances the pass. That's at least my opinion on it. But we do need to take more shots down the field. Let's see what we got. Football guy, man. Thank you very much. Tatum, my guy. Prediction for the first 5 games. Either 2 or 3 or 3 and 2. I'm hoping for 3 and 2. But either 2. I'm going to be optimistic and say 3 and 2. But either 2 or 3 wins. I think we'll get at least 2. Cruz on, man. Thank you very much. Protect DJ, and he can easily be a top 15 quarterback. By the way, screw you fans that said we were all good at the O-line positions and we didn't need to draft any. I don't say that to fans, but Cruz on, you and I, when it comes to the Hogs, we think alike. We've been begging for Hogs the last couple of drafts. We were happy when we took one in 2020. We wanted another one this year. They didn't do it. And guess what, Cruz on? I'm pretty sure you're going to agree with me next year. I'm pretty sure next year you're going to want to take an early Hog as well. And I can already fast forward to next year. I can guarantee you guys one of those 2 first-round picks next year, I'm going to want to take a Hog. Nino, man, thank you very much. Shout out from Switzerland. Rodarius looked good. Yeah, Rodarius looked really good in the game yesterday. No denying it, man. Rodarius Williams looked really good in the game yesterday. It was his best game over the first 3 preseason games, no doubt about it. Definitely looked good yesterday. Thoughts on, I don't even know who Jake is talking about here. Great info. I agree. We must run and pass. I think we should be 3 and 2 or 4 and 1 after the first 5. We'll see. But yeah, I think you need a balanced offense. Quickly, he says, imagine your GM drafting a bust back-to-back years, Danny, then Andrew. Oh, you don't have to imagine it. It's happened. But we'll see how Saquon Barkley does this year. I hope he makes you eat your words, and hopefully that'll be the case. And Dwayne says, if the Giants underperform again, this has to be Dave. Yes. There's a put up or shut up here for Gallaudet. We know that going into the year. 9 wins or bust. Has to have a winning record this year or he's gone. No denying it. Asia, thank you for popping in the stream with a $3 super sticker. Mwah! Asia, hope you're doing well. I haven't seen you in a bit, but hope you're doing well. Why did we get rid of Zeitler if he wasn't going to cost much? He underperformed last year. I would have kept Zeitler, to be honest with you. I would have kept Zeitler. I was not for – well, I understood it but I understood it after they did what they did earlier. I love Logan Ryan, one of the leaders of this team. I would have kept Zeitler over him. I don't trust this offensive line. We had McKinney. We already had Jabril Peppers. I would have prioritized Zeitler over him, if I'm being completely honest. Yuri, man, thank you very much. You can't call a center a bust if he surrounded himself with bad coaching. Just ask Jeff Okuda. Sale will get more out of Price. I sure hope so, man. And, as a Giants fan, that's what you got to hope. Obviously, the Giants see something in him. They see upside. They probably think that Rob Sale could coach him up and we get a lot out of him. We'll see if that happens. But hopefully that'll be the case. Obviously, he's got potential. Am I the only one who thinks we lost out on the beat? I don't know how we could have lost. I really don't. Like, what's the most you were going to get for BJ Hill? A sixth? Maybe? Like, what more did you expect? You got a depth offensive lineman. I don't think we lost. I mean, maybe you could argue that we didn't win if you don't love Price, but we needed an offensive lineman, and we got one. Sixth-round pick, more often than not, it's not going to turn into much anyway, and it's obviously not going to help this year's team. Getting a guy like Price very well can. So, I don't know. I don't really see a reason not to like this trade. Let's see what we got here. Michael says, I agree with everything you said, buddy. I think Price adds a lot of talent to our O-line group. Had no use for BJ Hill. Why draft a left tackle next year? Will draft a left tackle next year, move Thomas over. Yeah, unless Parrott takes a monumental leap this year and looks a lot better than people are expecting going into the year, I think that's where it's headed. Whether we keep Thomas on the left side or move him to the right, I think that's where it's headed. That's what it looks like right now. Roldy, man, thank you very much. Chris keeps saying we need to run the ball, which I agree. When I say run the ball, by the way, and I'm going to read the rest of your super chat, Roldy. When I say run the ball, I'm saying specifically for the first two games because I'm looking at our first two matchups, Roldy, and I'm looking at the Washington pass rush. I'm looking at the Denver pass rush. I'm looking at the Denver secondary, and I'm saying to myself, we're not going to be able to throw the ball against these teams at a high rate and be able to win the football game. We can't turn the ball over. We got to play smart. We got to rely on our defense against their suspect offense to create turnovers. So that's why specifically the first two games, I am hammering home that I think we're going to need to run the football. After that, you open it up. You're playing Dallas the fifth game. You're playing the Falcons, who don't play good defense, the third game. The Saints on the track, you could probably open it up a bit, even though they have a pretty good defense. So, but the first two games, I think we have to be run heavy specifically, which I agree. But who is our back that's a downhill runner who will get you those tough 4, 5, 6 yards? Well, I think it's going to be Booker and Brightwell. I think they're going to use a platoon, but that's what they're going to do. They're going to try to. That's who it's going to be. It's not Gallaudet, obviously, this year. I think that's who it's going to be. I think Booker's going to get a good amount of touches, especially early on in the season. Is he Brandon Jacobs? No, we don't have a Brandon Jacobs on this football team, but those are the guys they're going to lean on outside of Saquon Barkley. And I don't think Barkley's going to get like more than 15 touches in the first game, if he plays in the first game, which I think he will. Nate, man, thank you very much. What's up, Dana fam? Greetings from Switzerland. Have you talked about the new center already? What are your thoughts? I'm concerned. Isn't he only depth? He is only depth. I'm going to show you a couple things that I showed earlier. For anybody that may have just popped into the stream that maybe gives you a little bit more of encouragement. But yeah, it's a depth move, just like BJ Hill was depth. BJ Hill was depth. Let's be real. But here are some of the things. Against the Washington football team, and this was in preseason 6 days ago, Price finished with a solid 76.4 pass blocking grade, according to PFF. He was part of the starting offensive line that held the opposing D-line starters, all first-round picks. You're talking about the best D-line in football, obviously, with Washington, to 0 pressures. That's a big deal considering the talent on Washington's defensive line. Price's preseason performance validated the positive showings in training camp. At the very least, he is serviceable, which is significant progress from where he was under the previous O-line coach, Jim Turner. Price looks to beat out blah, 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 blah. So there were encouraging reports about him in this preseason. Trey Hopkins took over as the Bengals starting center in 2019, and Price has moved to guard. Although he played in all 16 games, he played just 8, 7 at the right guard, and 1 at the left guard. At times, Price's look serviceable. At other times, playing bad, which is what you expect for a guy that you're trading a depth defensive lineman. Price made only one start in 2020, a victory against the Tennessee Titans, but seemed to make some strides in the right direction. PFF credited Price with 208 snaps on offense, mostly all guard, and only 1 sack allowed. He was only flagged for 4 penalties. Without a doubt, 2021 is a make-or-break year for Price, blah, 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 blah. And then this is a guy that breaks down film on offensive linemen. He's got about 70,000 followers on Twitter. Dan Duggan, I think it was, that pointed me in the direction of him. Reasonable deal for both sides, especially with Price's recent trajectory heading up. People speak on guys every year as good and bad when it's far more nuanced. Every year players labeled good or bad become shift the opposite direction. Development is rarely linear. situation matters. So we'll see. I mean, I don't think it's a trade where you're giving up much, and he could be a valuable contributor to this football team, especially depth on the offensive line. So I see no reason to hate this trade. Anthony, man, thank you very much. Salute, Chris. Remember, the best defense is the best offense. That's true. And a great defense helps an offense as well. Create shorter field position with turnovers and 3 and out, so on and so forth. One side helps the other. Good ground game, obviously, is going to help complement your offense. So I'm with you on that, Anthony, man. Thank you very much, buddy. I appreciate it. Oh, man, Asia, you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to do that. Asia, thank you very much, but you didn't have to do that. Thank you so much. Says, stand up, my sexy Tana. I'm so ready for football season. I got to work at the Eagles. Wow, my God, that's horrible. You worked at the Eagles Stadium? You must have thrown up. Against the Pats, and that stadium is nice. I wore my Giants jersey. Forget those Eagles fans. By the way, what's your opinion on what Javi Baez did yesterday? Why did I hold on one second? I'm gonna be honest with you. I was watching the Giant game yesterday. I don't know what happened yesterday, but I'm gonna look it up right now. I missed it. Javi Baez among New York Mets to jab at the booing fans. I did hear about that. I didn't know it was Javi Baez that did it. That said it. If that's what you're referring to, I did hear about that. That was a story about the New York Mets today. I didn't know it was Javi Baez that said it specifically. Asia, as far as that goes, listen, the fans have every right to boo. You guys get paid millions of dollars. The fans are paying your salary. The fans have every right to boo. If you're paying to go to a game, you have every right to boo. As long as you're respectable and you're not, and I don't know what was said to them, as long as you're not, personal attacks and things like that. But you have every right to show your displeasure with players on your football team, your baseball team, your basketball team, whatever else it may be. That's my take on that. I see no problem with that. And if that's what Baez was upset about, he's absolutely wrong. But thank you so much, Asia. I can't say thank you enough. Thank you for being such a great supporter on the channel. Let's see what we got here. In my opinion, this is a great trade for the New York Giants. They bring in a quality interior offensive lineman at a position of big need. And I see no reason, Nikita, to hate this trade. That's what I keep saying. I see no reason to hate this trade. Do we even know if Hill would have made the 53? I think he would have. JC, I think he would have been the fifth defensive lineman. I would have been surprised if he didn't at least make the team. But he wasn't going to get much opportunity to play. Javi did some sucker shit. Y'all playing terrible, fans have the right. Yeah, exactly, T Savage. Just like if I was at a Giant game and everybody started booing, and when I'm in my live streams, people start going crazy. When it's reasonable, people have a right to go crazy. Daniel Jones makes a stupid interception. Fans in the crowd have every right to boo him. When Andrew Thomas lets up 3 sacks, fans in the crowd have every right to boo him. So, I see no problem with that at all. And when you're playing in New York, you better develop thicker skin. But again, I don't know the whole story behind it. I don't know what was said to him. Well, Sunley is still. Shah, there's a lot of good free. I don't know about good, but there's a lot of names that are still free agents out there on the free agency wire. And I could see the New York Giants bringing in one of them for sure. Do you know the update on Tony? He's going to be playing week 1. He's going to be playing week 1. That's my update for you. That's what came out. He's going to be playing week 1. How big of a role he's going to have, I don't know. Brett says, I expect Jones to have a Baker Mayfield type season. The Browns and Giants have similar run-heavy offenses, and Jones could be successful off the play action like Mayfield was last year. The only difference there, Brett, and I hope that's the case, the only reason why I definitely think, and I know if Clocks is in here, he disagrees with me apparently, in terms of talent, I think Jones is every bit as talented as Baker Mayfield. When I watch Baker Mayfield play, he does not strike me as a very talented quarterback. I think he's in a great situation, but Jones is not. Jones does not have a great offensive line. Mayfield does. So that, like if Jones was on the Browns, I think he'd be very good. But I think that's like an ideal situation. But I definitely think he could be much improved this year. T, thank you very much. Jones didn't fumble, taking 4 sacks last night, and I think Price is going to be a shocking acquisition in a great way. I sure hope so, T. And yeah, Jones has gotten much better with ball security, not just over the preseason, but last year he got much better with that in terms of sensing pressure in the pocket, and hopefully he continues to get better at that. Eds, thank you very much. Watch B.J. Hill get 7 sacks like Romeo Okwara did. The way I look at that is, and he might, Eds, he might. But here's what I'm going to say to you, Eds. I'm going to ask you 2 questions, Eds. Even if he gets 7 sacks, because I wish him the best, and I'm holding crayons in my hand. Empty crayon box, by the way. Even if he gets 7 sacks, here's what I'm going to ask you, Eds. Would he have gotten 7 sacks with the Giants? Was he going to play with the Giants? Would he have produced with the Giants? And the answer to all those is no, unless we had injuries. And then the second question I'll ask you is, was he going to be back with the Giants? And I'll give you the quick answer. We have $4 million of cap space. The answer is no. We were not going to keep him. So he wouldn't have produced as a Giant. So I wish him the best. I hope he has 7 sacks. He was a guy that wasn't going to produce for us. And we got what we needed to get in terms of getting depth on the offensive line. NY Giants 26, man, thank you very much. Finally, COVID for, that's right, yeah, COVID, man. I hope, glad that you're feeling better. After a week, I could go week 1. That's awesome, man. That's awesome, man. And thank you very much, man. I appreciate it, man. Stopping by before my class, last day of the day. All right, Jedi, thank you so much for popping in. Actually, real quick, guys, I am friggin' thirsty. I'm going to be back in 1 second. I'm going to get some water. Hold on 1 second. I am parched. Hold on. Sorry about that, guys. Just had to get some water. I was thirsty, man. Grab a brewski. No brewski. No brewski. Not yet. Maybe for dinner. And Asia, thank you very much. Chris, I had to wear an Eagles cap working. Oh, my God. I hope you threw it out after. We got to keep it, but it was torture wearing it. I hope you threw it out on the way out, Asia. Hey, Dana, can you please talk about the trade? Yeah, I mean, I talked about it throughout the entire stream, but I think it was a win. I think it was a win-win trade for both teams. I think both teams, they traded players that were expendable on their teams. We needed help on the offensive line. We were deep on the defensive line. We traded a player who wasn't going to play much for us. They traded a player who wasn't going to play much for them. Both teams traded an area of depth. That's the way I look at this trade. One team helps the other. Price is going to come over here. We all know that we needed help on the interior portion of that offensive line. By all accounts, they needed a defensive lineman. I think both teams get helped out by this. We all know that we needed to add depth on the offensive line, and that's what this accomplishes. Former first-round pick, hopefully a guy with some upside that the New York Giants feel like they could coach up. Don't expect him to start. He's here to be a backup. If somebody goes down or if somebody's playing poorly, he may get an opportunity to play for the Giants this year. That's the way I look at it. I see no reason not to like this trade. Chris, you somewhat nervous for this upcoming season? Yes. 1,000% nervous for this upcoming season. Here's what I'm going to say, Roldy. I'm going to get to these super chats real quick. Here's what I'm going to say about this season. I'm more nervous about this season than I was about the previous two. Because this season we have expectations. This season they have to win. They have to show progression or everything goes up in smoke and we got to start all over again. And that's the last thing I want to do. So I'm very nervous about this year. The offensive line has to produce. Daniel Jones has to take a step up. And if they don't, we're looking at 2024 probably at the earliest that this team could be competitive. So this team needs to turn the corner this year. I'd be lying to you and everybody in here if I said I wasn't nervous about this upcoming season. Yuri, man, thank you very much. Offensive line was a mess because obviously it's Belichick's defense. It will prep us for the Broncos in Washington. It's not a bad point you bring up, Yuri. And the other thing I will say, Yuri, if you want to look at it that way, they got to practice against these guys for 2 days. But at the same time, you can say that Andrew Thomas got to practice against them for 2 days. But they got a good look at our offensive line. Belichick, very smart, got to analyze the players. Maybe you could look at it that way. Either way, Andrew Thomas got to get much better. Ian, man, thank you very much. You think Barkley will win Comeback Player of the Year? I think he could. But I think it's going to be tough because you look at all the other players that got hurt. The big name, obviously, Dak Prescott, Bosa. I would guess Prescott because he's a quarterback is more than likely the favorite. McCaffrey as well. But I think Barkley obviously could win it. If he has a great year for the Giants, he'd have to have a year similar to his rookie season. We'll see. But I would probably label Prescott just for the simple reason he's a quarterback to be the favorite going into the year. Barboski, man, thank you very much. Sup, man? Defense is looking ready. Just need Jones to throw some footballs away or take a sack. Also, no one to run out of bounds or slide. Yeah, Barboski, here's what I'll say about last night, man. As bad as Andrew Thomas looked and as nervous as I still would have been about the offensive line, I think the fan base overall, if he doesn't make that one mistake, people aren't nearly as upset as they are right now. Because we would have at least been up 14-6 at the end of the half. And you could have even said that if Darius Slayton doesn't drop that ball, we're up at least 17-6. And people would have looked at that first half much differently than what they did. But that one turnover definitely puts people back in the negative side of things. And understandably so. He's got to clean that up. He can't make mistakes like that. What's the latest word on Ingram's injury? The latest thing that I heard, Sean, is that he may miss. He could be out for at least 2 weeks, which would mean he's going to miss week 1. I haven't heard any other updates with that. Maybe somebody in the chat has. That's the last I heard. I think that's what I heard this morning. Rolly says, did you see Kim Jones's tweet from the trade? I did not. Let me take a quick look now. I think I heard about it, though, but I didn't see it. So I want to get exactly what she said. But here's what I'm going to say about Kim Jones before I even look at this. Kim Jones friggin' hates the Giants or hates Dave Gettleman. So she rags at everything they do. So I'm assuming it's going to be negative. Here we go. When the New York Giants traded Jason Pierre-Paul to the Bucs in March 2018, they received 2 draft picks. They became B.J. Hill and Kyle Gallaudet. It was a salary dump. With today's trade to Hill, both players are now elsewhere, and JPP is thriving in Tampa. Yeah, I mean, here's what I'll say about that, Rolly, though. I could have told you the trade was us trading Hill has nothing to do with why that trade's bad. Hill wasn't going to play this year anyway. It's just that she's saying that now that we traded Hill, but it was horrible before today in trading B.J. Hill. I still don't think this was a bad trade because of that. But yeah, it was a bad trade. The Giants were a mess in 2018. And even if, here's what I'm going to say about, and I said it earlier when somebody brought it up to me. Here's what I'm going to say about the Jason Pierre-Paul trade. I understood the trade, but the problem for the trade, for me, was they then went out and they traded for Ogletree. If they would have if they would have started the rebuild in 2018 and they would have traded down and blah, 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 I don't care what they got with the picks. It would have been an understandable trade. But the fact you traded him and then you went and you gave up draft capital to bring in Ogletree, you paid him all. You were trying to do 2 things at once. And you could never do that. You could never try to rebuild and win at the same time. It was a monumental mistake by the New York Giants. And that's what makes that Pierre-Paul trade look a lot worse than what it is. Because they tried to do both at the same time. Nate, man, thank you very much, man. Aren't we too well set for the future to start all over again? Get a new quarterback in the draft and 1 and 2 offensive line, and we should be all right or not. We'll see at the end of the year. Got to see what this team looks like. But here's what I'll say. Even if the team is pretty good, when you bring in a new quarterback, you're starting over. That first year, and that's why I said 2024, maybe 2023 if everything pans out right. But the first year when you're starting a rookie quarterback, you're not going to win. So you scratch that, you're off. So now you're up to 2023. So I'll say this: next 2022, we're not going to be a Super Bowl contender. We're not even going to more than likely be a playoff contender if you're starting a rookie quarterback. It's few and far between that. And if you're drafting a quarterback, you're more than likely pairing up your first round picks to go up and get one, unless you get like the first or second overall pick from the Bears or from us, which more than likely won't happen. So you're not going to have another first round pick to draft an offensive lineman. You're going to use that to get your quarterback. I honestly would say 2024 is probably the earliest that we could be a truly competitive football team in terms of being a competitive team in terms of the playoffs if Daniel Jones fails this year and we have to start completely over, trade up to get a quarterback. Yeah, I'm looking at 2024. That would be my timeline. Chris, will Shepard be good this year? Drafted him in fantasy. I think that Shepard will be good this year. He looked really good yesterday. Was running really good routes. I like Shepard. I hate that we're more than likely we're going to lose him after this year, but yeah, Shepard looked really good yesterday. Obviously, you always worry about the concussions and potential injuries, but I like Shepard. Entire season depends on Jones and Barkley, our number 2 and number 6 pick overall. Agreed. And obviously, the offensive line will have a lot to do with their success. Jerry Reese ruined Eli. Eli might at least have a 3rd Super Bowl. Well, Plaxico Burress had a lot to do with that as well. Want back. Unless you have 2 top 10 picks next year, package for a disgruntled star quarterback, maybe. Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it next year if it's a thing. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully Daniel Jones takes a big step up this year. But I've said that I can't see Aaron Rodgers ever wanting to come to play for the New York Giants. And I'm going to continue to say that. I just don't see the match with him and Joe Judge. And I don't think we're going to trade for Deshaun Watson, especially with the price tag that he's asking for, that Houston's asking for apparently. And everything that he's got going on in his background, I don't see the Giants wanting to bring in a guy like that. So I don't think we're going to trade for a superstar quarterback. Let's see what we got here. Is Gallaudet going to be ready for Denver? Yeah, I think he will be. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but I think he's going to be. I've thought that all along. I'd be surprised if he's not. I think they're taking it easy. Top 5 defense. I would say yes, or borderline. I'm going to have us between 5 and 8. I definitely think we'll be a top 10 defense. Between 5 and 8. That's where I got us right now. Yeah, I would say 4 maybe is our ceiling. There's a lot of good defenses, though, when you look around the league. But I'll say between 5 and 8 is where I have us going. Blacked out in Zimbabwe. Sorry to hear that, Pavit, man. Thank you for popping in, buddy. Didn't know that you were on vacation. Who is the new offensive line guy? Is he good? Price, former first-round pick, 21st overall, 2018 draft. He's been disappointing up to this point in his career. It's why the Bengals traded him. But obviously has some upside, and we traded him for a guy in B.J. Hill who wasn't really going to play for this team this year. So see no problem in it. At a bare minimum, he's going to be an interior offensive lineman that's going to provide some depth off the bench. That's an improvement over the guys that we have. So, yeah, I think it's a good trade. Killian, man, thank you very much. What's going on there? Betty, man, thanks for popping in. Killian says, I'm a DJ guy, and I have hope for DJ. But if the O-line struggles and DJ does because of it, I still want 2 linemen in the first round and give DJ his 4th year. Thoughts? Would I be opposed to it? Depending, I would not. But realistically speaking, if Gettleman is relieved of duty, which if we're bad this year, he will be, more than likely the new GM is going to want to handpick his quarterback. You're not going to force that. A good GM is not going to take this job if you say you have to keep this quarterback, especially if Daniel Jones has 3 losing seasons in a row. So if we're being realistic with ourselves, if we're a bad team this year and Gettleman is fired, the writing is on the wall. You've got 2 first-round picks. If Jones is bad and the Giants are bad this year, the smart money would tell you we're going with a quarterback in 2022 in the draft. And Edge, man, thank you very much, man. He says, Gettleman did exactly what Reese did, draft a bum of a left tackle and throw money around like in 2016. It's sad that we have a GM that has no eye for talent. And, hey, I don't blame you for feeling – I don't blame you. Here's what I'll say. I don't blame you for having doubts going into the year. I'll say that. I'm going to wait to see if he can prove people wrong. But there's certainly reason to have doubts going in. We'll see how the offensive line performs. Week 5, week 6, I think we'll start to really have our answer. That's my take. I'm not going to jump on him after week 1. I'm going to give him 5-6 weeks. And if the offensive line's a complete disaster, believe me, I will come down on Dave Gettleman when I feel it's appropriate. I will come down on Dave Gettleman. Blue Collar, man, thank you very much, man. Rank backup wide receivers. Who impressed you? Okay. So I'm assuming, well, I can't say Tony because he didn't play. And I'm going to say Slayton and Shepard and Gallaudet. Well, I didn't see Gallaudet anyway. So after those 4, you got Pettis, you got Sills, you've got Board, and really, I think it's those 3. Those and Ross, but Ross didn't play. So of those 3, who impressed me? Board's a special teamer. He's not going to really impress you. Pettis impressed me last year. I thought Pettis was pretty good. I think he's a pretty good route runner. I think he's a little bit underrated by maybe some Giants fans. I think he's a solid bench wide receiver. I think he's a former 2nd or 3rd round pick of the 49ers. And Sills impressed me. Do I think Giant fans overrate him a little bit, if I'm being honest? Yeah. He's a guy I'm rooting for to make this team. Do I think he's a guy that's going to have a big impact? If he does, probably not. I think he could be a good red zone target, though, and I hope he gets an opportunity to play. He's been fighting his ass off to get an opportunity with the Giants, and we'll see if he makes the team. But I actually think Pettis is the more talented receiver, if I'm being honest with you, in terms of an all-around wide receiver. And AV, thank you very much. If Jones is bad and Fields bowls out and Thomas is average at best, Tony becomes a rapper, Gettleman worst GM in Giants history. Okay. So we're going worst case scenario. If Jones is bad, Fields bowls out, Thomas average at best, Tony becomes a rapper. Well, then we see what we get with that other 1st round pick. But he's up there. Yeah, he's bad. Let's put it that way. He's bad. I'd have to look over the history of the New York Giants. But in a worst case scenario of all those situations, you messed up on your left tackle pick. You messed up on your quarterback pick. You messed up on he'd be very bad. Ron, man, thank you very much. I think you're right, Chris. If right out of the gate there is no movement up front, resulting in no positive run plays and no time to throw on throwing downs, it's going to be a long season. Everything rests on the offensive line. Everything rests on the offensive line. And again, I am personally going to give it 4 to 6 weeks. I think by week 6, I'm going to really have a good grasp on what this team is going to look like. The offense specifically is going to look like. I have confidence in the defense. If the offense isn't starting to click by the end of week 5, when you play the Falcons and the Cowboys in a 2-game stretch, 2 of the weaker defenses in football, if this offense isn't showing any electricity, there's a problem. If this offensive line is getting destroyed, there's a problem. First 2 weeks, I think we're going to struggle offensively. But by week 5, if we're not starting to see signs, yeah, I think there's a problem. A report already confirmed yesterday Kenny is week 1. Oh, yeah, okay. So, yeah, I knew he was playing. Should Eli Penny get touches in the season? Maybe a few carries. He's going to be obviously used mainly as a fullback. and an emergency running back. He may be third in line for touches, depending on how they're going to use Brightwell, right? If he makes the team, a lot of people have said Brightwell's more so there for special teams purposes, but Brightwell actually impressed me in terms of catching the football out of the backfield. I will say that throughout training camp, or the preseason games, I should say. Let's see. If we had won Super Bowl 43, would we have still won Super Bowl 46? That is one of the best what-if questions of all time that nobody ever brings up, and it's impossible to know. Because if we won Super Bowl 43, either Hakeem Nicks or Victor Cruz is never on this team, more than likely, because Plaxico Burress is still on the football team, probably, if you go back-to-back with your Super Bowls. So who knows? Obviously, Nicks and Cruz had a lot to do with that team's success that year, so we'll never know. And you can make an argument that Eli Manning actually progressed as a quarterback after Burress left. Even though Burress had a lot to do with Eli Manning's upbringing as a young quarterback, I always felt as a fan, after Burress left, Eli actually matured as a quarterback because it forced him to scan the field rather than just throw up jump balls to his tall wide receiver. So it's a really good question, and we'll never know. So we'll never know. And let's see what we got here. Yeah, Brightwell is a good pass catcher out of the backfield, man. Any chance Kitchens gets promoted to offensive coordinator during the season? I'll never rule anything out. I would lean no, but I will never rule anything out. I don't think they're going to make like a quick change. I know some fans are going to want to change Garrett after a week. But maybe like halfway through the season, if the offense is abysmal, maybe they at least relieve Garrett of his play calling duties. I don't know if they'll necessarily fire him from within season, but maybe they'll relieve him of his play calling duties. I wouldn't be shocked if they did that. And maybe they gave Kitchens more of a say, or someone else on the staff more of a say. What's up, Chris? How's it going? What's going on there, Money Grip? Joseph says Slater trade for Cincinnati center. Does that mean bye-bye to Gator? Yeah, he's not. I don't think he was making the team anyway. You're talking about Brett Heggie. Well, this isn't a green screen, Andy. This is actually, if you look, that's a real picture, and this is actually a real window. That's not a green screen. This is actually a room. But in the future, I do want to have more of an office look. I've talked about that. Probably next year, I want to have like a real like football desk office look on the channel. That's something that I'm striving for next year. What's going on there? No man, thanks for popping in. In my opinion, I want Saquon, Corey Clement. What's going on there, Mac man? Thanks for popping the stream. Chris, you wearing your? No, I'm not. This is a Tumor jersey. Because of the new trade, what offensive lineman can be shown the door? Probably all of them. Our backup offensive linemen are horrible. Probably all of them. One of them will probably make it, but obviously you got Soldiers making the team, and you got Jonathan Harrison, and now Price, and there may be one other spot open, and who knows who that's going to. It could be Larson, could be Slade, could be Wiggins. I think one more guy will make the team. Who is going to be the biggest surprise cut tomorrow? Let me ask you guys in the chat. I'm going to give you my surprise cut, and then I want you guys to give me some of your potential surprise cut. And I don't know if you even consider this guy a surprise cut at this point in time, but my surprise cut, I guess the guy that I could see some people thinking he could be a surprise cut, I'm going to go with Ifeadi Odenigbo. I think Ifeadi Odenigbo is going to be cut. He didn't do much in training camp. He didn't do much in the preseason. He had other guys at the position performing much better, whether it be Lalos, whether it be Harris. So I'm going to go with Ifeadi Odenigbo gets cut, and that's unfortunate because I thought he could have done a good job with the Giants this year. I thought he'd fit the scheme, but he has not done a whole hell of a lot, and he's been disappointed. I'm going to go with Ifeadi Odenigbo. Yeah, I could see Ross being cut because he's been hurt all training camp. I could see Ross being cut. And Zach, yeah, I'm going to have more of a desk. This isn't going to be permanent. I'm actually dog sitting for my friends. This isn't going to be permanent, but maybe I'll have more of a real look at my house in the future. Maybe I'll set something up. Who knows? But this isn't going to be permanent. Maybe I'll just use the green screen for like play-by-play and videos. Maybe I'll have like a more natural look. Pleasant surprise cut Gettleman. Bill hates Gettleman. That's do a lot of people. Let's see. I don't know if John Ross is a given. A lot of people seem to think he's still going to make the team, but I think he could be cut. Let's see what we got. I might be biased, but I think Eli is underrated and Big Ben is overrated. Ben had loaded teams that draft. Well, here's what I'm going to say I want back. And I think a lot of people don't look into this when they compare. Obviously, it's inevitable. You're going to compare them, right? They were both drafted in the same draft class. Look at Big Ben and look at the teams that he had. I want you guys. I don't know how many Hall of Famers he played with. He definitely played with more than one. Eli Manning throughout his entire career played with one Hall of Famer, and that's Michael Strahan. And that was only for the first 4 years of his career. Played with one Hall of Famer his entire career. Ben Roethlisberger, his entire career, for the most part, had a top 5 defense and a top 5 offensive line. Eli Manning did not have that. He did at the beginning of his career, but definitely not over the second half of it. And I think this is fair to say that in 2012, like midway through their careers, Eli Manning was the best of the bunch of those 3. And then the second half of his career, he fell off due to the fact that the Giants didn't continue to support him. So I do think that's fair to say. I'd still have been above him because he was a much better quarterback. A lot of it, at least in my opinion, due to the fact that he had a better supporting cast over the second half of his career. But I'd still have to give the edge to Ben. But I do think Eli was every bit as good as Ben Roethlisberger. I just think he was not put in a good situation like Ben was throughout his entire career. Let's see what we got. And Jeremiah, man, thank you very much. Chris, thanks for the live stream, getting me through mowing my acre in Alaska, brother. I just want to beat the Cowboys. Keep up the good work, man. I appreciate it. I want to beat a lot more than the Cowboys. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully beating them. And that's awesome, man. Hopefully you're enjoying your mowing an acre. Hopefully you're, like, on it and not actually pushing it because that sounds like it would take forever. Big Daddy, man, thank you very much. Getty is looking bad. He is. I can't defend Getty right now. I try to when I feel like it's appropriate. I can't defend Getty right now. Not the way this offensive line's looking right now, Big Daddy. Not looking good right now. What's going on? How do you think the offense did? Man, I think everything but the offensive line, I think, looked pretty good. And Andy says, I'm not even a big Thomas fan, but people are overreacting. I agree with that, Andy. Here's what I will say, Andy, though. I am more concerned than I would have been going into the year. But for people saying that they know he's going to suck, I agree. You can't overreact over a preseason game. But he didn't look good last night. Did not look good last night. Well, are we getting? I know, Asia, I've been getting more bots in my stream, so hopefully some of my mods could kick them out. Looking forward to the Dep East Billy. Yeah, you and me both, Ira, man. I hope he does a great job for us. Where's your head at? What do you mean? Where's my head at? My head? Where? I think it's here. My head's right here. It's right here, buddy. What's up, Devon? Well, that's good. We definitely got to play much better. How do you think Daniel Jones did? I think Jones did well outside of the one horrible decision. I thought he played very well, but he made one really bad decision. What's up, Marco? Thanks popping in. So is this guy anything? O-line look junk, surprise? I mean, he's a depth guy. Don't expect him to be a starter. He's a depth guy. Is it me or does Daniel Jones always seem to start slow, makes one big play, and we still lose? I thought Daniel Jones played very well. I think it's the reverse, actually. I think he played very well throughout the whole game, and he made one really bad play. But the losing in a preseason, I could care less about. Yeah, coming out of Ohio State, he was the 21st overall pick. I think he was the first center drafted in 2018. He won the award, I know that, for the best center in the country. Well, he was at Ohio State. Let's see. Andy says, I'm not a fan of the price trade because he's simply just not that good, and we traded one of the more underrated players on the team who deserved more snaps for a bust, sadly. I guess I could get what you're saying, Andy, but in my opinion, B.J. Hill wasn't going to get to play, and he wasn't going to be back with this team anyway. So I don't really – and we both agree that we needed a lot more depth on the offensive line. So I think at a bare minimum, he provides that, and that's what we needed. And I think you could certainly make an argument that even as a depth player on the offensive line, he brings more value to this team currently than B.J. Hill did. That's at least my opinion of the trade. Yeah, I don't think B.J. Hill was going to get to play, and he was not coming back next year anyway. He's going to be a free agent next year. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, no more cross-body throw, especially at the 1-yard line. It can't happen there, man. If it's like, James, if it's like 4th and 2 or 3 and you're going for it, that's more understandable. But in a situation like that where you have 3 guaranteed points on the board, you take the points. You don't. And in a game, I don't think they even call for a pass there. I think they try to run the ball. But regardless, they call for a pass. You have to execute. You throw that ball away or you take the sack. So am I, JD. I was shocked that he was starting last night. Bambino, what's going on, man? Is there a decent player draft package we could trade for another tackle? Probably not. King, I just don't think there's a you think about how desperate we are for offensive linemen. Well, those teams aren't looking to give up offensive linemen at this point in the process, right? So to expect the Giants to be able to go out there and trade for a starting caliber tackle, it's just not going to happen. Like there's teams are not going to be rushing to the door to trade away good tackles. They're very important for a football team. So I just don't see it happening. It's why you draft them. That's why I always say fix the offensive line, fix the offensive line, fix the offensive line. Because once you have that in place, everything else improves. That's the foundation. And teams that have that foundation aren't looking to get rid of it. So it's very hard to trade for a good offensive lineman. It's very rare that you see that happen. It does happen, but it's very rare. Simon, thank you very much. If we traded for Price, then Judge had a say. Simple. I think Judge has a say with every move that we make. I really do. I think it's collaborative. I think Gettleman and Judge have worked together. I think the Andrew Thomas pick is just as much Judge influenced as Gettleman influenced. I think since Judge has been here, I think they work together. Yeah, I don't, especially trades, Al, but maybe they make a free agent pickup with somebody that gets cut, but don't expect any trades. Somebody said, "Oh, you trust Judge's instincts?" Well, I hope he does. I hope you're right. Random person says, "I know nothing about sports, but can you say my name out loud, please?" Oh my God. If you do, I'm a sub. Well, I didn't even read that part. If you don't know anything about sports, you may not want to sub because that's what I talk about on this channel. Occasionally, I'll talk about something silly, but there you go, random person. I just said your name. And Bill Emmett, thank you very much. He says, "What about trading Shep for offensive line? I love Shep, but we are desperate." Maybe, but again, I don't see teams wanting to trade away offensive linemen. If you could get one, sure, but Sterling Shepard, as good as he is, as much as I like him, I don't know how attractive he is for other teams. He makes a lot of money. He's had concussion history. I don't know, man. I don't think teams are going to be knocking down the Giants' door to trade offensive. The only offensive lineman you're going to be able to trade for, in my opinion, are fringe starters, are guys like Nate Solder, or guys like Matt Parrott. And that's best case scenario. You're not going to be able to get a proven commodity on the offensive line. I'd be surprised. MYJ's 26, man, thank you very much. We should have kept Marshall New out. Yeah. Yeah. We have picks. We do have picks to trade, but I just don't see it happening from within season. I just don't. I really don't. And I don't want to trade 2 first-round picks. I don't want to trade our 2 first-round picks or even one of my first-round picks for next year to bring in an offensive lineman this year because you don't even know how high those picks are going to be. So I'd rather just draft one in next year's draft. I would have rather drafted one in this year's draft. It's why, a lot of people on Twitter, on my channel, they're like, no, you got to draft Devontae Smith if he's there. You got to draft whoever. I was always about Rashawn Slater. I saw the way the offensive line played last year. I knew we lost Kevin Zeitler. We signed Kenny Gallaudet. I never understood why people didn't see the obvious need to draft an offensive lineman. And the fact that Rashawn Slater fell in our lap, which I think shouldn't have even fallen as late as he did to us, I thought that was the move the Giants should have made. Now, in terms of what they got in the trade, I'm very happy. I thought it was very good value. But if it was me, I'm just running the table. I'm taking Slater. But the trade was good. I'm not complaining about the trade. It was a good trade. And Naderman, thank you very much. I know this might suck, but what about trading one of our safeties? I don't want to even think about it, but it might be worth it. If you could get a very good lineman for one of our safeties, you do it. I just don't think you can. But if you could, you do it. That's what I'll say. But I just don't think you can. Eric says, where is the loyalty? I don't know what he's referring to. Loyalty to what? What's up, Zachary, man? Thanks for popping in. Should have Coughlin on a serious note, hanging head with. I'm sorry to hear that, Christopher Ewing. Hopefully your wife feels better, man. I wouldn't trade for an O-line either from center to guards. I think we'll be okay. After the way Thomas played, I'm a little worried. I think we're all a little bit worried after the way that he played. I appreciate that, Baby. And Untitled Sports, good morning from New Zealand. Can you explain the trade for me? Just woke up. Yeah. What's up, Matthew, man? Thanks for popping in, buddy. We basically traded BJ Hill. If you're a Giant fan, Thomas, you know who he is. Former third-round pick who's barely played for the Giants the last 2 years. Had a good rookie year. Probably wasn't going to play much for the team this year. We traded him for Billy Price, a former first-round pick in the same draft. Center, also has experience playing guard, 21st overall, and he's been underwhelming since he's been in the league. He has 19 career starts. He's played at both the center and the guard position. Word was that he was actually playing much better in camp this year for the Bengals, and may or may not have competed for a starting spot. Obviously was not going to compete. That's why they traded him. But they said he looked much better in training camp this year, looked good in the preseason games, and hopefully the New York Giants can get something out of him. He's been a mediocre at best offensive lineman since he's been in the league. Don't expect him to start. I think they brought him in to be a backup lineman because it's something that they desperately needed. So that's the trade in a nutshell. Yeah, he's a bust. He's been a bust in Cincinnati, Jarvis. There's no doubt about it, which is why he was traded. You don't trade first-round picks unless they were busts, especially if they're on the offensive line. Who do you think starts next to Blake Martinez? I think it'll be Tate Crowder. How concerned are you about Andrew Thomas? I would say, here's what I'll say about it, AP. Going in, like if I were to put my nervous scale between 1 and 10 going into the year about Andrew Thomas, 1 being not worried at all, 10 being like extremely worried, I would have been at like a 2. Like I wasn't that worried at all. Like I was very confident that Andrew Thomas was at least going to be an average left tackle this year. After last night's performance, I'll bump it up to like a 3, maybe a 4. Like I'm like a little bit more nervous, but I'm not panicking. That's what I'll say. If over the first 2 or 3 weeks of the regular season he looks like that, I'm going to be at an 8 or a 9. So hopefully he cleans it up by the start of the regular season. Eds, man, thank you very much. You build a team through the draft, and we can't draft. We'll see how the players do this year, but I can't argue with you so far. That's for sure. I can't argue with you until hopefully they prove you wrong this year, but I can't argue with you right now. And NY Giants 26, man, the Giants have never gotten an O-line pick right. In recent history, the best lineman that we've gotten was actually an undrafted free agent in terms of value, and that was Nick Gates. Thomas, still not judging him yet. Still way too early. But, yeah, we've struggled with our recent offensive line picks. Money Man, thank you very much. Do you think we use one of those first-round picks of next year's draft this season to get O-line? I do not. No, I don't think they're going to do that. I'd be surprised. I think you keep those picks. Nope, I don't think they're going to do that. They said if they wanted it, they could have used a first-round pick on an offensive lineman this year. They didn't do it. They wanted to get more draft capital for the following year. I think they're trying to continue to build through the future. They look at their cap space next year. They know they don't have a lot of money to spend. They're trying to get impact players in the draft. So, no, I think they're going to keep those draft picks. I don't think they're trading them. Let's see. Who will you bring back next year, and who will you let go? I mean, it's impossible for me to tell you that right now, Mohamedou, because I don't know how they're going to play. But if they play well, as I've said in previous live streams, in terms of the free agent on the New York Giants roster, Will Hernandez is my number 1 priority. If he plays well, we talk about the offensive line. I don't want to lose another one. If he plays good, I'm keeping him. Louie, man, thank you very much. Love the show, Chris. Shout out to the chat room. What's going on, chat room? Thanks for popping the stream. Chris, why did you freak out over the Jones pick? Tony says. Because I didn't want him. That's why. But I've since come around to supporting him and being as fair as I can with him, and I do think he could be a good quarterback, but I would not have drafted him in that draft. That's why I freaked out. I wanted Josh Allen. No secrets there. I love Josh Allen. He was my favorite player in that draft. Lorenzo, man, thank you very much. Thomas is shaping up to be the worst offensive line. So far, I can't argue with that. I hope he proves you wrong this year. NY Giants 26. We should have kept Pugh and Richburg. Would have helped. Yeah, I don't think they could have kept both because they probably should have kept one. I'd have to go back and think about what the salary cap was at the time, but they probably should have kept one. Pugh, if I'm not mistaken, had some injury problems, but they probably should have kept one. Pitman, thank you very much. You need to keep both picks. See where we are. If we need to move on from Jones, possibly packaging picks to move up, could be in play. They're not trading those picks. They're not. They can't. And that's a big reason why they're not. They can't. You need it as insurance next year in case you have to do something like that. And Irishman, thank you very much. Chris, I am not going to give up on our offense yet. You shouldn't yet. I really believe in the O-line will be okay. Andrew Thomas will be fine. Barkley is the key. I'm not giving up on this team yet. I'm nervous going into the year, but I was nervous before this preseason game about the offensive line. I am not sold on it. I am hoping to be pleasantly surprised. But I think it'll be better than last year, but how much better? That's what I continue to say. But we'll see. That's the biggest question mark for me going into the year. But the season hasn't even started yet. By no means am I giving up on the year. By no means do I think this season is going to be a failure. I'm going to give them a real opportunity. Let's see this team over the first 5 or 6 games, and let's see what this offense could do. Slickback man, thank you very much. He says, if we move on from Jones, I don't want to draft the quarterback unless he has a massive ceiling. Do not reach. If a high ceiling guy isn't there, don't reach. I'm with you. I've said it several times. A pimp named Slickback, if they don't love a quarterback, I either give Jones another year and hope that he can take off, or I go for a stopgap if Jones is mediocre this year. I don't force a pick, because if you force a pick, then it sets you back another 3 years, because you have to give that quarterback a real opportunity to prove himself. You have to be completely convinced that guy could be a big-time game-changing quarterback. Otherwise, you don't force the pick. You don't trade up for a quarterback. You just don't do it. So I'm with you on that. But let's give Jones a chance this year. That's what I'm going to continue to say. Jared, man, thank you very much. Man, I hope we reconstruct Shep and keep him. I'd love to keep him. I think it's going to be really hard, but I'd love to keep him. I think he's one of the more underrated wide receivers in the NFL. Bill, the only thing with him is the injuries, man. Over, under, Jason Garrett gets fired by week 7. Andy, I'm going to say he finishes the year here. But I think it's his last year with the Giants, whether the offense is good or whether the offense is bad. I think he either gets fired or he gets a head coaching job somewhere else if the offense takes off. But I do think he finishes the year with the Giants. Bill, man, thank you very much. If the offensive line is terrible, watch Dave do some crazy trade midseason to save his job. Remember the Leo Williams trade made no sense in terms of timing, except to get W's immediately. Hope not. I mean, if we're completely out of it, I hope they don't do anything stupid. I'll say that. They have 11 picks, so if they're giving up a late pick to bring in somebody, maybe they can help out the future, whatever. But I don't want them giving up their top-tier trade equity. No. Can't happen. If anything, they should be selling players like Peppers and Ingram if they struggle this year. That's what I don't even want to think about that, man. I want to think about, let's give this team a real chance. Let's see what they do the first 6 or 7 weeks. Let's not close the door and say it's going to be a complete disaster. Let's see what they do the first 6 or 7 weeks. And then we will assess what we think they should do mid-season at the trade deadline, so on and so forth. Go to Duke Mayweather's tweet. Okay, let me take a quick look. Hold on one second. Duke Mayweather. Why don't I see Duke Mayweather? I don't see Duke Mayweather. Maybe I'm typing his Twitter name in wrong. NY Giants 26, man, thank you very much. He says, Michael Schofield was cut. Good depth if we want. And maybe that's what he was referring to. Another offensive lineman that was cut. Maybe that's what he was referring to. I'll have to look into him. And IY rather. How do you feel about Dalton over Fields? I'm not surprised. I think it's what they were going to do all along. I'm not surprised. It's not going to be long. He's going to get the boot probably by week 3, week 4, week 5. It won't be long. But I'm not surprised. They brought, Dalton was going to be the starter. And honestly, I think that's what they should do. I never believe in throwing the rookie right away into the fire if you have an opportunity to have him learn at least for a couple of weeks under a veteran. So I don't think that's a bad idea. Tana, what's your record predictions? You were spot on last year. Yeah, hopefully I'm spot on this year. I got us at 9-8. I'm not going to change that based off a bad preseason performance from Andrew Thomas. That's what I thought after the free agency. That's what I thought after the draft. Right in that area. I got us between 8 and 10 wins. So I'm going to put us right at 9-8. Last year I said 6 and 10. This year I'm going 9-8. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope they win 17. But I'm going to have us at 9-8. Duke Mayweather, my bad. Okay, let me take a quick look. Duke Mayweather. No, that's what I typed in, Duke Mayweather. Why is it not popping up? Duke Mayweather. Yeah, I don't see it. I see Paul Hemsworth Duke at Paul Mayweather, but I don't see a Duke Mayweather. So, I don't know. Maybe put the at. Do we win the division, Tana? I think we got a shot. Oh, Manyweather. Oh, okay. Duke Manyweather. Okay. Duke Manyweather. Offensive line scouting and development. I'm assuming it's going to be about this trade. I'm still looking for it. Thoughts on Billy Price? I'm assuming that's the one you're talking about. I'm going to pop that up for the chat. Let me enlarge this real quick. So this is a guy that breaks down offensive line film. He's got about 35,000 followers on Twitter. Let me just get this real quick. Thank you very much. If we're 9-8, but Jones is average-ish, what do we do? They're going to keep him, I think. I think Gettleman keeps his job if we go 9-8. So if Gettleman keeps his job, I think Jones stays. That's just my guess. If we're 9-8, I think we're going to keep the quarterback. I'd be surprised if we don't. All right, let's see. Share screen. Chrome tab. And there we go. So here's what Duke Manyweather had to say. Brendan, who I actually talk a lot to on Twitter, said, what's your thoughts on Billy Price? He can play all three interior offensive line positions. Best position is center. Battled some injuries early in his career, despite what is being said, had solid tape when called upon last year. Good tape this preseason. Had some issues late in the game last year at offensive guard versus Fletcher Cox. To be expected. Obviously, Fletcher Cox, one of the best, interior defensive linemen in football. That's why he said to be expected. So it sounds like he's a guy with at least some potential, and you didn't get him for much. So I don't see how you can complain with the trade, man. He's very good depth. Mark, man, thank you very much. Jenkins at 21 and Trey Smith in the 6th. Coulda, woulda. Yeah, coulda, woulda. Trey Smith supposedly looks good so far for the Chiefs. Had the injury concerns, but in the 6th round, you take a shot. And Vintage, what's going on, man? Suppers, Gallaudet, Slayton, Shepard, Tony, Board, Sills should be the wide receiver core. Gallaudet, Slayton, Shepard, Tony, Board. It's either going to be Sills or Pettis, I think, for that last one. I think Board is going to make the team because of specials, and it'll either be Pettis or Sills, and we'll find out tomorrow. The other guy, if they don't get claimed, they'll probably be on the practice squad. But I think that's your last spot, Pettis or Sills. I think the first 5 you said are locks. I think all 5 of those guys are making the team. I'm a Bills fan. Do you think they could get to the Super Bowl? Yes. Why couldn't they? They have one of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the sport. They have a good defense. They got a great head coach. Yes, they absolutely could go to the Super Bowl. What's going on there, King Tone, man? Thanks for popping in, buddy. If our quarterback don't work, who do you think will I don't know yet, man. I haven't done enough research on the draft next year to speak on what quarterback we may or may not take. I don't want to think about it. I want to think that Jones is going to be the guy. John Ross hasn't been healthy. No, he has not been healthy the entire camp. Chris, I trust Andrew Thomas, Parrott, Gates, Hernandez to be ready for the season, but I don't know about Getty. Simon, I hope, man. I hope. I'm still going to say that I think Hernandez. I'm sorry that Thomas is going to be good this year, but we'll see. Ed says, hate it, but the Jets are taking over this town. We'll see. I mean, they still got a ways to go. But obviously, if Zach Wilson is really good, they're going down the right path. They're building a pretty good offensive line. We don't know anything about their coach. A lot of Giants fans like him. The guy hasn't coached a game yet, Robert Saleh. And there's been a lot of times where people have told me the Jets are headed down the right path. They said the same thing when they got Sam Darnold. So let's see how they build. But I do think the Jets are doing a good job building their football team. I think they did a good job getting all those draft picks when they made the trade with Adams. But we'll see what they do with them. Of course, Chris, I like you. You're a good guy and keeps things honest, and you're not a fair weather. I appreciate that, King Tone. By the way, I am going to close this out in about 5 minutes. It's 4:54. I started at 2. Yeah, we've been live for over 2 hours. So, but I appreciate all you guys for being here. Thank you guys so much for all the support, all the support. They're definitely not taking over this year, Jets. Maybe in 3 or 4 years if they keep building. But this year, the Giants are the better football team. They're definitely not taking over this year. One good thing about the Giants, they're in the same division as the Cowboys and the Eagles. Jets are in the That's true too, Jarvis Juice. That's a good point that you bring up about the AFC East. And yeah, I never asked for likes in my live streams. I probably should do that. Like Bad Dog's always asking for. I got to do a better job with that. I just talk to you guys too much. But yeah, hit the likes, guys. If you haven't done so, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, ring the bell. Thank you to everybody for being here. I appreciate it. Yeah, I said that earlier, vintage skills. But I actually think Pettis is going to be the sixth guy. But I wouldn't be shocked, obviously, if Sills makes the team. I think the first five that you said are locks. Katie Chains, thank you very much. Latest on the Evan Ingram injury. I'll see what I can find on Twitter. But last I heard, it sounded like he could definitely miss the first game. But let me see if I can find anything on Twitter. Okay. Joe Judge said Evan Ingram and Darius Slayton themselves seemed optimistic about their injuries, but it's too early to know anything yet. Joe Judge said Evan Ingram is going, this is 3 hours ago. Joe Judge said Evan Ingram is going to see a doctor to measure the severity of his calf injury. So I guess we're going to get a doctor report hopefully tomorrow. So there you go. He's seeing a doctor, and it happened 3 hours ago. Judge came out and said that he was going to be seeing a doctor. So there you go. Hopefully we get our answer by tomorrow. Simon Man, thank you very much. I don't know how Getty trusted a fifth rounder to start at guard. The same reason he trusted basically a fourth rounder to start at right tackle. That's what Matt Baird is. I mean, 99th overall was after the third round. So he's banking on his young offensive lineman, man. He gambled. Mac, man, thank you very much. I honestly like the O-line, but we didn't have a pass rush before this trade. Who is the secret standout that made B.J. Hill available? Well, I think in terms of who's going to make this team now, a lot of people have been hinting that it's actually going to be the undrafted pass rusher that we picked up, Raymond Johnson, right? I think that was his last time, right? Raymond Johnson, who by all accounts looked pretty good, but he's undrafted. Other guys that could make the team now is Nico Lalos, Fedi Adenabo could still make it, or Trent Harris. I think one of those guys is a shoo-in now to probably make this team due to the fact that we cut B.J. Hill. But a lot of people seem to think it's going to be Raymond Johnson. But we'll see. And I think we're going to be drafting an edge rusher in next year's draft. No doubt about it. What kind of comp pick do we get if Ingram walks next year? The way the comp picks work, BCS, it's all dependent on the contract that they sign. So I could pull it up for you real quick because a lot of people always have questions about this. I'll try to do it real quick. Comp picks, how do they work? It's all based on how much the players signed for, though. But here we go. I'll read this for you. This is hopefully this gives you a better idea because a lot of people ask me this question. Let me share the screen real quick. So I'm just going to read it. This is how the comp pick works. Sitting 50 days before the start of the 2021 NFL Draft, the league announced compensatory picks selections Wednesday. The list includes 33, comp, blah, 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 blah. I'm trying to find where it talks about. This isn't it. But basically the way it works is it's rounds 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And depending on how much that player gets, like he's got to be in the top 5 highest paid free agents for you to receive a third round pick. And then the next tier is a 4th round pick. The next tier is a 5th round pick. Next tier is a 6th round pick. Next tier is a 7th round pick. So it depends on what Evan Ingram would get paid. It depends on what Jabril Peppers would get paid in terms of what comp picks would be awarded. Based on what the safety market is, based on the fact that Peppers very well may be the best available safety in free agency next year. If we lose him, I think we'd get a 3rd round comp pick, much like we did with Landon Collins. Ingram, I don't know. Maybe a 4th, maybe a 5th. I don't know with Evan Ingram. Obviously, it would depend on how much you got paid. Yeah, David Moe is possible as well, Adam. Can I read your last comment? Yeah, Mike, let me find it real quick. Where are you? There you go. Great stream, entertaining. Thank you for the great content you provide us. Hey, man, I appreciate all you guys. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Ola and 5 likes, Aiden says. 105 more likes. Let's get it to 600. O-line first round next year. I haven't done any research on the prospects next year, but if you ask me right now, without knowing how the offensive line is going to do this year, yes, that's where my head's at. Edge rusher, offensive line. In my opinion, those are our 2 biggest needs right now on this football team. What's up with Ross? He's been hurt all training camp, and it'll be interesting to see if he may. I'm going to ask you guys, what would you guys rather me do tomorrow? I'll ask you guys because I always want you got it's your channel just as much as it is mine. I say it all the time. Would you rather me do a video tomorrow, like a well-detailed video going over the roster for about 15 minutes, breaking it down, all the selections for the Giants, or do you want to go live and talk about it? The final roster selections for the New York Giants. I'll let you guys decide. I don't know when it's going to be announced. I'm guessing, I don't know, 2, 3 o'clock. We'll get our final 53-man roster. And then I could either go live or I can make a video. So I'll leave it up to you guys. And if, let me know what you guys think. What do you guys want to do? Philip says video. Aiden says stream. Chris, thoughts on Ronifek sighting? Where was the Ronifek sighting? At the game? It was at the game? All right, people are saying live. Most people are saying live. All right. We'll go live then. Yeah, all right. You can book it then. We'll go live because that's a big day. 40 Lux says video. A lot of streams floats in here. I don't know what that means. I'm picking first in my fantasy league. Who should I? You got to take McCaffrey, man. You got to take McCaffrey. Somebody said both. We'll see, Zenda. We'll figure it out though. Maybe I'll probably go live tomorrow, but we'll figure it out. Maybe I'll do a video. I don't know. We'll see. Chris, do you follow the Big Blue View with Ed Valentine? I think I might on Twitter. I don't really listen to them. I meant that a lot of people wanted the live stream. Yeah, like I said, if that's what people want, I always do what the majority of people want. Usually you guys are going to want me to go live. But when I feel like something's more appropriate as a video, I'll do it as a video. But tomorrow it'll be fun to get to talk about the roster, maybe some of the surprise cuts. So we'll do that live tomorrow. We'll do that, maybe not as long, maybe like 90 minutes. We'll go over the roster, talk about the roster. But guys, I'm going to get some water. I'm thirsty. I always appreciate all the support you guys show on the channel. As far as the trade goes, I think it was a good trade. And, I think it was a good trade. I think we brought in something that we desperately needed, and we traded a player who, while he may be good, hasn't really gotten an opportunity for 2 years here. We're deep at that position. He was expendable, and we really needed to improve on the depth of our offensive line. So I thought it was a good trade for the Giants. Hopefully it works out for both players. And Price does a good job here for the New York Giants. Glad that we added some depth to the offensive line, and hopefully these guys get their head out of their ass, and we're ready to go in 13 days. I can't wait for our first game against the Denver Broncos. But, guys, we'll see you soon. Thank you guys for all the support. And if you like what you watch, please subscribe. Drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers. Be good, everybody.